studio this Saturday afternoon. Shane Lowry celebrating over in Abu Dhabi. He has won his first European Tour title since back in 2015 when he won the Bridgestone Invitational. Huge win, birdieing the 18th hole to see off the challenge of Richard Sterney. He is back into the world's top 40. He's over €1.2 million richer as well. A good day all round for Shane Lowry. It's a busy afternoon in the Premier League as well. 6 3 o'clock kickoffs. They'll do well to live up to the early game where Wolves beat Leicester City 4-3. Diogo Jota finishing off his hat-trick in injury time to win that game for Wolves. The 3 o'clock kickoffs are underway. There's around 10 minutes gone in them. Liverpool up against Palace remains scoreless at Anfield, and unsurprisingly with James Milner playing at right back, Palace have shifted Wilfried Zaha out onto that left wing to put Milner under a bit of pressure. No goals either between Manchester United and Brighton. Bournemouth taking on West Ham. It's Newcastle against Cardiff, Southampton against Everton, and Watford against Burnley. We're still waiting for the opening goal of the day. Keeping a close eye as well on what's happening in the Championship, where Nottingham Forest under Martin O'Neill for the first time at the City Ground are up against Bristol City. That game is scoreless, while Derby have taken an early lead against Reading. Duane Holmes with the goal there for Derby. Talked today that Ashley Cole is going to sign a 6-month contract with his former England teammate Frank Lampard at Derby. Brentford 1-0 up away in their match against Rotherham, so they're the only goal so far in the Premier League and the Championship. Kieran Cunningham has joined Kenny Cunningham in studio. Is there any other famous K Cunninghams out there we could get in?
K Cunninghams, that's been precise.
There's another Kieran Cunningham, Rugby League star.
Oh, we could get him in some afternoon.
One of the main.
We'll do a K Cunningham Saturday panel.
Yeah, it was one of the. I think was he Wigan? I can't remember, but I think he captained the Britain team for years. He was a coach then after. There's funny. There was once confusion. Kenny doesn't know this, but back when Kenny was captain under Brian Kerr, we used to fly with Ray Tracy, so the journalists would fly and some fans.
First class.
Yeah. No, I don't think. But the players and a couple of FAI heads and management heads would be up the front. And I think, I don't know, did you sit beside Brian and Chris Hughton? Like Chris was his assistant or possibly?
Yeah, I would have been practically on the management team then anyway.
Yeah, you were calling the shots. Everybody knows that.
Picking myself in the same. That's all.
I didn't look at the number of my ticket, but it came out. I showed it to the stewardess and she said here, and it was like one of the front seats. I thought, that can't. And I was thinking, I was about to sit down. I think this can't be right. Then it just clicked. I said, they mixed up the two K Cunninghams.
And
so
did you sit up the front?
Yeah, no, I should have just sat beside Brian and said,
I do remember that. I kicked up a huge fuss. I kicked up a huge, hissy fit, proper hissy fit when I was
probably going to Albania or somewhere. It would be great to have him sitting down the back of the plane the whole way down.
What were are there perks of captaincy? Like, do you get to sit row 1A beside the manager? Do you get your own room? Are there perks to being the captain?
Room, sweet. I never paid for a room bill for about 4 years when I became captain. It gets split amongst the other players. They got to pick up my room bill. That's a given.
The diva, Kenny the diva.
Did you share when you were captain? Share room. That's a privilege of being captain, isn't it?
No, it isn't actually. No, generally we did all share. I think that it's interesting. That's open to debate a little bit. I mean, a lot in the modern game.
Roy didn't. Yeah, Roy Keane didn't, but that was probably just because he's Roy Keane, basically.
Well, no, Roy shared. I remember he used to share with John O'Shea quite a bit, actually.
But that's when he came back under Mick. He didn't, though. That's when he came back under Brian.
Yeah, but maybe at times. But generally speaking, I think it was a conscious decision under Mick and Brian to pair the lads together. I think it's a good thing.
Yeah.
There's an argument there for saying, your own rooms, so your own prepper. People like to be very precise, particular about their own preparation. I remember rooming with players, no names, of course, just like insomniacs.
Yeah.
Just 2:30 in the morning, the telly's blaring, like, you know what I mean? And
who did you share with?
You'll be clever in that, Kieran. At least allow 10-20 seconds to pass before you come back.
Other than the person who was...
I've just stated, I won't be naming names.
You could just say it's a person that was... This is a person who wasn't...
But that was like... So again, you're a professional footballer, you're over-representing your country, you want the best possible preparation. That's going to piss you off if you're up till 2:30 and you want to be asleep at 11:30.
Yeah, but then again, you got to balance that out in terms of, room with somebody and maybe a younger player coming in and maybe making his transition into the senior squad a bit easier, and the whole team camaraderie thing. I think that, generally speaking, came out on top.
Did it work? Because I know some managers would put two centre halves in a room together, or the strike partners, or people, or the right back and the right winger, people with a relationship in the pitch. Was there anything like that?
I remember bolting up in the middle of the night, me and Gary Breen, the exact appealing for offside at 3 in the morning. Two arms up at the bed. That's how good the intuition was, like, you know what I mean? But no, you are right.
Lie back, Gary. Lie back, Gary.
Yeah.
I'll step forward here.
Obviously, I'm exaggerating a touch there, but you are right. That would be the case. And managers have factored that in terms of, you know, striking partners, centre halves in particular. I think it's a natural thing. I think there's obvious logic to it, unless, of course, the personality's really great.
Yeah. Who was it, Kenny?
And again, no names.
Top clubs do they still share, Kenny?
I'm not too sure, Kieran, to be honest with you. Like I said, it was pretty much a given when I was playing in terms of a room share, but I certainly know they've deviated away from that. Not in all cases, but some clubs, even to the point of, you know, lads were bringing their own pillows, and you hear beds being transported the length and breadth of the country. You know,
well, that's what when Southampton were doing very well, and everyone was wondering what was the secret. One of them was much like a Team Sky marginal gains type scenario, that they brought their own mattresses to every hotel, so that the truck would arrive in.
They brought me on Maltesers, mattresses.
But I bring my own pillow now.
Oh, I bring my own pillow everywhere.
Because I find hotel pillows are too hard. Always.
Oh, they're a nightmare.
They're too hard or too soft. Very hard.
Just a disaster. There's a lot.
You bring all the small pillows as well. You know, you get in like in the Shelbourne and that 7 or 8 little small little dresses.
Listen,
bring them to dress you. Do you dress it up?
Do you know how much journalists gets paid? Do you think we get paid enough to say the Shelbourne?
I tell you, the Premier Inn in Manchester Airport is very different from the Shelbourne. I can assure you of that. 53106 is the text number. We're live on all our social channels as always on a Saturday afternoon. There's no shortage of topics to talk about after the week that was at Leeds United and Marcelo Bielsa. We want your thoughts on that. Is it cheating? Is it just the English game overreacting? We'll get Kenny's thoughts on that. Also on the appointment of Martin O'Neill as Nottingham Forest manager. Liverpool and the scheduling of this title race and whether playing first is going to be an advantage that they can heap the pressure on Manchester City. The big game this evening, Arsenal against Chelsea, and anything else that interests you, do get in touch, 53106. But there's a lot of other sport going on as well, Shane.
We have to start with the golf, I think. Shane Lowry, as you said, has won golf's Abu Dhabi HSBC Championship. 3 birdies across the last 7 holes of his final round saw the Offaly man recover from falling 4 shots behind Richard Sterney to win by 1 stroke at 18 under par. It's Lowry's first tournament win since the Bridgestone Invitational back in 2015, and the victory sees him move back into the world's top 50. And Lowry has been speaking about his relief afterwards.
That was an amazing final round to watch. Just try and sum up for us what it was like to be part of. You're 3 ahead teeing off, suddenly you're 4 behind with 7 to play. What were you thinking as that stretch unfolded?
I've had great chats with my coach this week, Neil, about just hanging in and staying there no matter what I do, no matter what I shoot, and no matter what shots I hit, just keep going. And you know, it definitely helped me out there today. Like, I mean, people looking at it from the outside probably thought I was gone, you know, 4 behind with 7 to play, but I held a couple of great putts on 12 and 13, and I knew I was in it then. And I said to Bo, walking down 16, I said, I think, you know, 3 4s, 4 4 4, 16, 17, 18, they were playing quite difficult. You know, we could have a show here, and you know, thankfully I did. And look, I'm just over the moon. It's been a long time, and yeah, I'm going to enjoy this one.
As you say, 4 behind with 7 to play. Suddenly, in the next 5 holes, you're back to level. You're now tied with 17th. That up and down at 17, where does that rank? We know you're a wizard, but where does that one rank?
You know, the green was quick and firm and running away from me, and I just felt I didn't need to do anything stupid, because he could have got, you know, could have left that in the bunker easily enough, and it wasn't a great lie. So I was just, you know, trying to get myself to 15 feet, and I thought Richard had a tricky chip, but he managed to make par, and I just was like, you know, give myself a chance. And to be honest, I hit a great putt, and I thought 6 feet out, I thought this is in, and then it started to move left and just got the left edge, and you know, I was obviously very happy that it went in.
To lead from wire to wire in a Rolex event, obviously a massive championship here. HSBC does such a wonderful job of putting on a wonderful championship like this. What does that mean to you, in the sense that, yes, you've won World Golf Championships before, but this is a huge championship on the European Tour?
Oh, it is. I mean, like, first of all, to be able to play in events like this on the European Tour, it's huge. You know, world-class field on a great golf course for huge money. You know, it's just great. And yeah, to win wire to wire, obviously I've never done it before, and to be in contention for that long, it takes a lot out of you. So I'm going to need a couple of days. Luckily, we have an extra day off between now and Dubai, and I'll rest up after tomorrow, I'm sure, and you know, get ready for that. But look, I really want to enjoy this one, because you never know when your next one's going to be. Like, you look at Westy and Danny Willett winning at the end of last year, and I think not that it gives everyone hope because they're world-class players, but you just, in this game, you just need to keep your head down, just keep to do what you do, and if you feel like you're doing the right things, just keep at it.
This part of the world is very special to you. You've got connections over here.
Yeah.
What about the Irish support today? How much strength did they give you when you really needed it?
Yeah, it's unbelievable. I mean, every day, every time I come out and play in Dubai is great, and I've had a great. I've made some great friends over here over the years. I've been involved with the McGettigan family, and they've been very good to me. And I'm just very lucky that wherever we go, when you're Irish, you kind of get the support. So I'm grateful to them.
You're now top of the race to Dubai. You're back in the top 40 in the world rankings. We think on the edge of 40, 41. How good a platform is this to build back to where you should be? As we all know, a very talented player at the top of the world.
Well, it puts me to where my goal is for the next 18 months, and that's to be on the plane to Wisconsin and with Paddy, and that's kind of where I want to be, and I think this is a great stepping stone to that.
Yeah, what a week. What a week for Shane Lowry.
He's talking about the Ryder Cup already. The Ryder Cup countdown has begun.
Why not? Unfortunately, the points and the money for today doesn't count towards the Ryder Cup. But it gets them into... So listen, the money's important for 1.2 million. It's important in anybody's life. But this means he's back in the top 50. He'll play the Masters. He'll play all the majors. He'll play all the World Golf Championships. He can pick and choose the schedule he wants. Yeah. Probably between now and the Ryder Cup.
You're like, I know, yeah. You do you're involved with the golf podcast.
Yes.
Like, so you know the sport a lot better than we do. Like, was this coming? Did anyone see this coming?
No, he finished last season. He had a good event at the end of last season, but he's had a pretty poor 18 months and just didn't see himself, seemed quite down. Moved to the PGA Tour as most players want to. They want to have this world tour where you played the biggest tournaments in America and Europe, and moved to Florida last year, and it just didn't seem to work for him.
Like he mentions his coach there. Has there been any changes?
No, he's still working with Neil Manship. Yeah. Neil Manship was there all week, who's been with him since the very start.
I think no change to the approach? No.
He spent the last fortnight over in Dubai sharing a house with Paul Dunn and putting in the hard yards, proper pre-season preparation. Whether that's very different to what he's done previously, but it seems as though he had a good Christmas at home. He's moved back to Ireland, so the Florida adventure is off for now. It seems like he could probably return if he wants with this win. But maybe he's just a little bit more settled. But he's played his best golf on the European Tour, even if this is the Middle East, as a European Tour player.
It's not a surprise to me, though. You mean I like me golf, you know, I'm not an avid follower, but Shane for me looks like one of those players. He's got big tournaments in it. It really does surprise me he's gone one there. And you mentioned the big tournaments coming next year, the majors in particular. He's one of them outside of the immediate half a dozen players who wouldn't surprise. I'd always put money on him, even if his form's been a little bit indifferent, which it has done. But prior to that, you referenced his last win kind of 3 years ago. Around that point, it looked as if he was actually going to explode into the...
Well, he should have won the US Open. He had a four-shot lead heading into the final round of the US Open in 2016. And maybe that had a deeper effect than people
that's what I'm saying. Possibly psychologically,
because people always assume, and like there's a million golfers where it goes wrong, that people assume that if you put yourself into a position where you go 4 clear into a final round of a major, that you'll be able to repeat that trick, rather than I've gone 4 clear, this could be my best ever chance, and it hasn't happened. And as you say, the deep disappointment. But that was a quality field. So the European Tour struggles at times, but because it's the Abu Dhabi Championship, they spend a bucket load of money on appearance fees. So Dustin Johnson was playing this week, Brooks Koepka was playing, Tony Finau. So the ranking points are huge, which gets him back into the world's top 50. So it was a big boy field he beat out there.
What did he earn last year? Can you remember? He must have come close to earning that today.
I would imagine so. He had one good week in America. It wasn't enough to keep his card, but even one good week in America is probably worth 200 or 300 grand. He had an okay finish to the season, and it was more than enough to keep his European Tour card. So I'd imagine he was still up on $1 million, if not more.
It's 1.2 million today.
1.2 million today.
Right. He's got the game. He's got the game though, Nathan, isn't he? And mentally looks. I know he's had his up and downs a little, but for me, he looks as if he's capable, even within himself. Maybe little small similarities with Harrington there for me in terms of that, not that kind of mindset, just so strong and focused. And I think if he puts himself into that position again in the next year, 18 months, in terms of one of the big tournaments, it wouldn't surprise me.
What age is he now?
Was he 32?
32, is it?
At this stage he must be, in or around that. In many ways it was a miraculous win, because he hit a 62 on Wednesday in the first round. He hit 4 fairways and 17 greens in a 10 under par round. And even today when he went 3-4 shots behind just after the turn. Hit a terrible drive straight into the water, and you thought it could fall apart here. But he played the par 3s better than anyone has ever played the par 3s on the European Tour. 11 under par for the par 3s alone this week. So his iron play was just sensational.
But it's usually, short game traditionally is like...
Oh, well, you talk to any professional golfer around about short game, whose short game would you want? And Lowry at his peak, they would say, is right up there. Now, Harrington reminded them last month, I think, that when they have their little short game challenges, himself, Lowry and Paul done that. Harrington topped the rankings all year on the European Tour for scrambling and for short game. So yeah, it's brilliant. It just sets him up so nicely for the next.
He's such a popular figure. Like it's hard to think of anybody more popular in Irish sport.
You just look at the depth of feeling and warmth towards Shane Lowry. It's just something about him that people can really latch onto.
Yeah, there's a few people there like him, Thomas Barr, a couple others that you never hear anybody say a bad word about them. That everybody seems to like them.
You haven't put me in that category, Kieran.
No, definitely not.
You have some people within this room in particular like slagging me behind me back.
Not since you implied I couldn't afford the Shelburne Hotel.
Ask you to name names.
You implied I couldn't afford the Shelburne Hotel. So.
We have the first goal of the 3 o'clock kickoffs in the Premier League. It's come at Old Trafford. Manchester United have taken the lead against Brighton. Paul Pogba from the penalty spot has Ole Gunnar Solskjaer smiling once again. In all our chatting about Shane Lowry, didn't actually see what happened, but there's a nice little dance there from Pogba to celebrate again. You having this? What's he doing? Oh, is there a baby? Is there a baby on the way? There's a little bit of a Romario Bebeto. There was a little dance and then a little.
Yeah.
There was a little
baby,
yeah.
Oh, he's done his work. Oh, God.
He started the run-up and you were talking about you were talking about the Shelburne Hotel when he started that run-up. And then he finished just there now.
So Man United 1-0 up in that game. What else happening, Shane?
Yeah, start with rugby. 3 of the 4 Irish provinces looking to seal progress to the next phase of European competition today. Head coach Johan van Graan has made just one change to his Munster side that defeated Gloucester last weekend. Tight head prop John Ryan replaces Stephen Archer with captain Peter O'Mahony named in the starting 15. Conor Murray makes his 50th Champions Cup appearance. That's just over 7 years on from making his competition debut against Northampton Saints in that famous 23-21 victory at Thomond Park in November 2011. Munster head coach Johan van Graan has been speaking this week about Joey Carberry's form and taking it one game at a time.
Yeah, just firstly, we're not looking at semi-finals and finals. We're looking at Exeter on Saturday afternoon. To get into a quarter-final only, you've got to win on Saturday. So that's the only place where our minds are at. And I said after round 3, a lot of people said that's Exeter out of Europe, and I said definitely not. That's a team of character, and that's a team that I respect a lot. So they'll come out fighting on Saturday afternoon at Thomond. In terms of Joe, I think he's gelled in really well into Munster, and it's important that your top players play well over the course of big games. And I thought over the last 3 weekends, our big time players came through. I thought our 9 and our 10 were exceptionally good over the weekend. I thought Mike did a lot of good decisions at the back, and I think Rory showed his worth at 12. Put a lot of value in the 12 position. I thought he made really good decisions, and the forward back produced on Friday evening. I thought they gave our backs front football.
Yeah, so that is a 5:30 kickoff down at Thomond Park. We'll be down tomorrow Trass and Nicalig before kickoff for that game for Munster, which really they just need to make sure they don't take a heavy beating in that game, and they'll find themselves in the quarterfinals. Before we go back to the rugby, there's been a goal at St James's Park. Newcastle against Cardiff. Stephen Goldsmith.
Newcastle 1, Cardiff 0, and the goal comes from the most unlikeliest of scorers. We needed a bit of quality, and we certainly got it from the centre-back, Fabian Schär. He picked the ball up in the Cardiff half. He kept going and kept going and kept going. Beat 4 or 5 Cardiff players who didn't put in their best of tackles, to be honest, but he just calmly and composed put the ball into the bottom left-hand corner to put the home side in front. Newcastle 1, Cardiff 0.
Losing bonus point for Ulster away to Leicester in Heineken Champions Cup Pool 4 will be enough to guarantee them a quarter-final berth this afternoon. Still scoreless against Leicester at Welford Road in that game. Meanwhile, for Connacht, they need a win away to Bordeaux in order to secure a Challenge Cup quarter-final. 27 minutes gone there. Bordeaux 13, Connacht 12. Connacht had 2 early tries through Matt Healy and Quinn Roux, but Bordeaux have struck back, and a beast of a penalty from the halfway line there has given them the lead back. Meanwhile, moving on to we'll do a bit of boxing news, because it was a great night for Irish boxing last night. TJ Dohenny, he was over in Madison Square Garden, successfully defended his IBF Super Bantamweight title in the theatre at MSG, stopping Ryohei Takahashi 2 minutes and 18 seconds into round 11. It marks the first defence for the Portlaoise southpaw of the belt he took from Ryosuke Iwasa in Tokyo last summer. But with the win, Dohenny said He's ready for a title unification with fellow title holder Danny Roman next, with Roman in attendance to confirm that's the next fight.
Daniel Roman here tonight is the other piece of that title. Is that the fight you want next?
That's the fight I want next. That's what we're all in it for. Danny Roman's a great fighter. He's got the WBA belt. I've got the IBF. Danny, if you're here, I haven't seen you yet, but if you want to get it off.
I was going to say, we can bring him in. Danny, what did you think of the performance?
Congratulations on your win. Tough opponent. Now that that's over, let's make it happen. A unification from champion to champion. Let's give the best fight and let the best win.
Eddie, you heard it. You got the orders from the fighters. Let's go. Let's dance.
Let's dance, TJ Downey says. A great night for him last night. Snooker, it's the semi-final day at the Masters tournament at Alexandra Palace in London. Ronnie O'Sullivan 4-1 up against Ding Junhui in the first to six. The winner of that will play the winner of Judd Trump and Neil Robertson. They take part in their semi-final later on this evening. That's from 7 p.m. in Alexandra Palace in London. Some GA live scores for you as well. The Walsh Cup final, it's late, deep into the second half. Galway 119, Wexford 18 points. At Belfield, 3 red cards in that game. Liam Ryan for Wexford, Padraig Mannion and Jarlath Mannion for Galway. Wexford also have had a penalty saved in that second half. Galway 119, Wexford 18. In the Keogh Cup final, we're deep in the second half as well in Abbottstown. Antrim 1 goal and 23 points. Westmeath 219 in that one. And there's a full time from the All-Ireland Club Intermediate Hurling Championship semi-final. That one was at Sebel Stadium in Thurles. Kilkenny's Greg Ballycallan 1 goal and 13 points. Charleville of Cork 115. So Charleville are the All-Ireland Club Intermediate Hurling Championship champions. There was other news from
Into the final, of course. So getting ahead of myself. But Gaelic Games, there was other news. Corkness there, getting carried away with
Cork boy.
With these things.
I know. The proposed 3 hand pass rule now won't be used in this season's National Football League. Central Council have opted to drop it, but the other 4 experimental rules will continue for the competition. The hand pass was narrowly defeated at today's meeting by 25 votes to 23, Nathan.
What do you make of that, Kieran?
The hand pass rule? I'm not surprised because players, the vast majority of managers and players were so opposed to it, and the stats were there that in the pre-season competition it cut down greatly on the amount of goals and goal chances, so it did seem counterproductive because all this thing, the theory behind it was that it would encourage more attacking football, but so many goal scoring opportunities are created by a runner coming off the shoulder and be given a hand pass, and this was moves were breaking down, promising moves were breaking down all the time. I think they were tackling a symptom rather than the disease. Like, the disease is a negative mindset among a lot of coaches. Like, it's not actually hand passing in itself that's the problem, and I think this was this was a sticking plaster. It didn't really make I think some people just seem to think if we bring this in, everybody will start kicking the ball 40, 50 yards into a big full forward like they did 30 years ago. It'll be man on man. But all they did were, people were just giving dink 10-yard kick passes, either sideways or backwards. So it didn't change anything.
You'd have to think the problem, though, is the fact that they've changed the rules so close to the league. Teams have been training with this hand-pass rule in mind. The league starts this day next week.
Yeah, but they're used to playing the old way. That's the only thing. They've grown up playing the other way.
And even so, we had Declan Boner on, he said Donegal, I think, had been training without the rule. Carlo said they've been training with the rule. Yeah,
like the Donegal one is interesting because they were scoring a lot of goals and they dried up in McKenna Cup because they're natural. Like it's always been the Donegal style of running a hand passing game with runners coming off the shoulder, and it really knocked them back. They were putting up big points tallies, but they weren't scoring goals at all.
It can be brilliant to watch when Donegal are in full flow. There's just too many teams that are so slow at times.
Yeah, I do think there is an argument for changing rules, but I think this wasn't the right one.
Brilliant save there by the Brighton keeper to deny Manchester United a second goal at Old Trafford. It was Anthony Martial with that close range effort there, but denied. So it remains 1-0, a really good stop by, it is David Button in goal for Brighton this afternoon in that match. Paul Pogba's 8th goal of the season. Glenn Murray just missed a big chance to equalise.
Yeah, great chance. Ball played over the top. I'm not sure exactly how he got beyond the two Manchester United centre halves. St Jones initially goes for the header. Lindelof gets attracted to the ball and just continues his run. Murray just spins into the space behind. He's slightly right at the near post, but he's only 6 yards out. It pops up nicely for him. That's a bad miss for me. He's got to be doing better.
Goal at Anfield. Liverpool against Crystal Palace. Shane Pennington.
It's Liverpool 0, Crystal Palace 1, and Roy Hodgson's side ahead here courtesy of their first real attack in the game. James McCarthy with the ball into Wilf Zaha down the left-hand side. Zaha left James Milner for dead on the right-hand side of the penalty area, pulled the ball back, and there was Andros Townsend to fire in from 12 yards out. It's Liverpool 0, Crystal Palace 1.
Well. People were very worried, I know Liverpool fans, about that matchup when Alexander Arnold was out. You know, would it be Milner? Would it be Fabinho right back? Would they put in the young Dutch kid? And since Milner came back from that injury, I think he's looked a little bit off the pace. He hasn't been quite as good as he was before it. And Zaha's dangers anyway.
Yeah,
it's
I think it's the positional change.
Yeah,
really,
as well. They're trying to put slot Milner in everywhere, and he's up against a specialist left winger who's one of the best about. It's tough ask.
I think in that central midfield there where he plays in the 3 in there, he's protected a little bit. He's streetwise, he's smart. You know, he uses his experience in there. The right back position, he can get a little bit more isolated, finds himself a little bit more 1v1 situations, and again, somebody obviously at the quality of Zaha, that's where you need your right-sided centre half. We spoke about Matip, so you're not just maybe weakening at right back in terms of having that real defensive cover on your inside. For me, I'd be interested. I don't actually know. With Milner playing right back for me, if I was Klopp today looked like that game, I'd be thinking switch Van Dijk over to play right-sided centre half.
Yeah, because most teams do attack Liverpool on that side because it's either Lovren and even when it's Lovren and Alexander Arnold, they don't want to attack Robertson and Van Dijk because that's a stronger unit. So there's an argument for switching them definitely.
Especially if you're introducing a so-called midfield player into that area of the pitch, just protect them a little bit more with your best defender playing closest to him on the inside.
So Liverpool started the day 4 points clear, chance to open up a 7-point lead over Manchester City, but they find themselves 1-0 down against Crystal Palace at Anfield. The other scores in the 3 o'clock kickoffs: Paul Pogba's penalty kick has United 1-0 up against Brighton at Old Trafford, and Newcastle United lead Cardiff City by 1-0. It's still scoreless between Southampton and Everton, between Watford and Burnley, and in the game between Bournemouth and West Ham. We'll take a very quick break.
Football on Off the Ball.
Brought to you by Boyle Sports. Now with same-day withdrawals to your Visa debit card.
Tech Talk with Jess Kelly.
Coming up this week, we look at how technology has transformed the casino floor in Las Vegas. We ask what a table tennis playing robot can teach us about the future, and Irish company Drop want to take the stress out of meal prep.
Tech Talk with Jess Kelly.
Thanks to Harvey Norman.
Download the podcast now or tune in Sunday at 6.
On News Talk.
Be safe when driving this winter. Make sure your vision is crystal clear at all times by defogging and de-icing when necessary. Always keep a screen scraper and de-icer at hand to keep your mirrors and windows clear. Motor tips, brought to you by Volkswagen Service. Book a service online at Volkswagen.ie.
The world has changed. How we play is less this and more this. It's about time finance changed too. At Linked Finance, we're revolutionising the way lending works for Irish SMEs. With game-changing business loans, online, fast and very straightforward, it's real people lending to local businesses at very attractive rates. This is business lending for a digital age from Ireland's leading peer-to-peer lending company. Apply now or find out more at linkedfinance.com.
The Ryanair seat sale is here. Book your next holiday getaway from only $19.99 one way. Visit Ryanair.com and choose from over 200 destinations. Ryanair. Low fares made simple. Limited availability. See Ryanair.com.
Urban living, great design, Scandinavian function and style, deeply rooted in timeless Danish tradition. Boat Concept Arnott's and Beacon South Quarter. Sale now on.
At Cash and Carry Kitchens, we're giving away Nordmende appliances free with some of our best-selling kitchens. So select one of our best-selling kitchens, then pick the Nordmende appliances of your choice, worth up to a staggering €1,000. There are over 50 Nordmende appliances to choose from, including dishwashers, ovens, fridges and hobs. Call into any Cash and Carry Kitchens showroom nationwide and ask for details. Or go online to cashandcarrykitchens.ie. Terms and conditions apply.
Having a flutter? Top tip, QuinBet.com. Ireland's newest online sportsbook and casino. For all your horse racing, football, casino and more, QuinBet has you covered. With live in-play markets on mobile, PC and app. QuinBet.com. Terms and conditions apply. Gamble responsibly. Visit gambleaware.ie.
So you know himself promised me a Spanish holiday.
Yeah.
Well, you know what he says to me the other day? He says, love, we're a bit stretched with the car insurance. How would Spanish Point grab you instead?
Oh.
So I told him where to go. Straight to Post Insurance. Great value and you can pay monthly. Fantastical.
Life's unpredictable. Don't worry, we get it. With Post Insurance car cover, you can pay monthly by direct debit or in cash at the post office. Call us on 1890 222222 for a quote today. Post Insurance. Expect more. Acceptance criteria, terms and conditions apply. One Direct Ireland Limited, trading as Post Insurance, is regulated by the Central Bank of Ireland. One Direct Ireland Limited is a wholly owned subsidiary of An Post. Instalments paid over 10 months, including a first instalment of 20%. A service fee of 7% applies.
There's a 0% chance of you winning the lotto without a ticket. And the odds on a summer without rain? Also zero. There's a 0% chance you're going to be discovered as a pop star singing in the shower. Zero hope gone off milk won't smell as bad the second time. There's a 0% chance of your keys being just where you left them.
Where are my keys?
And at Skoda, guess what great value starts at? Skoda. Simply clever. Terms and conditions apply. See skoda.ie.
At Centra, we have great offers in store in our better than half price sale. Like lamb loin chops was $21.99 per kilo, now $10.95 per kilo. Kellogg's cornflakes 790 gram was $3.49, now €1.73. And Nescafe Gold Blend signature jar 100 gram was $4.95, now €2.46. Centra, live every day.
Are you an employee looking to future-proof your career? Did you leave work for family or other reasons, but now you're longing to return? Or are you unemployed? Whatever your circumstances, Springboard Plus offers free and subsidised college courses to bring your career to the next level. Discover the course for you at springboardcourses.ie. Applications for 2019 now open. Springboard Plus, the time is now. Springboard Plus is co-funded by the Government of Ireland and the European Social Fund.
What have you got for lunch, Bridget?
Just a tin soup. What about you?
I've got a
Sweet, chili, big flavor wrap with grilled chicken. It's today's wrap of the day at McDonald's.
Oh.
Live your best lunch for just €3.10 with McDonald's Big Flavour Wrap of the Day.
Football on Off the Ball.
Brought to you by Boyle Sports. Now with same-day withdrawals to your Visa debit card.
Sensational football from Manchester United at Old Trafford, and they have scored a second goal. Marcus Rashford, fourth Premier League game in a row that he scored for Manchester United. Let's go to Old Trafford and hear about it from Darren Stanich.
Manchester United 2, Brighton 0, and on his 150th appearance, Marcus Rashford tucks home United's second. Good run from Dalot down the left-hand side. In it went to Rashford, tight angle, cut it back onto his right foot and curled it into the top left-hand corner. United 2, Brighton 0.
How good was that, Kenny?
Yeah, it wasn't just a finish, to be honest with you, Nathan. It was great centre-forward play. Initially made himself available to receive the ball into his feet, flicked the first time with the outside of his foot, wide to Dalot, and then the reaction turned, immediately swiveled head to the penalty box. And traditionally in those situations, I can hear old coaches screaming at centre-forwards, just get in the box, make the back post, make the near post. But he didn't do that. He kind of put the brakes a little bit. Looked for the little cut back from Dalot in those inside channels, which he got, and even then he's got a bit to do, like feint across on his left foot, check back onto his right. Even a bit of body strength then. Brighton player tried to put the shoulder on him, withstood that challenge and put it in the top corner. Brilliant finish. Yet
again, Pogba and Rashford are among the scorers for Manchester United. They linked up to beat Spurs last weekend, and they are the two players who have really blossomed under Ole Gunnar Solskjaer over the past month.
Yeah, well, he's getting more of a central role. Rashford, which we didn't see. The criticism of Marino was, well, a little bit inexperienced, maybe can't trust him, in that central area of the pitch, more responsibility. Well, he's proven Marino wrong there. And Pogba, for me, Pogba's not playing tactically any different position than he was under Marino. They're playing with the same kind of midfield three, Matic sitting deep and him and Herrera slightly advanced. He's operating off that inside left channel, Pogba, but it's just getting himself higher up the pitch, Nathan, which he had to do. Stay away from the ball, get higher up the pitch and go and play with the front three, get yourself into the box. He's as good a finisher as there is in terms of central midfield player, Pogba. He can finish off his left foot, right foot, heading ability. If he's not finishing this season, if he plays enough games with kind of 15 to 20 goals and the same amount in assists, he's underselling himself. I've said this before. and he wasn't doing it previously. We can speculate about the reasons. Was Marino putting the brakes on him, making him play it different, not giving him the freedom, whatever. But he's playing the role now as it should be played, as that modern day number 8, getting ahead of the ball, receiving the ball between the lines, getting turned and influencing the game in the last third of the pitch, which he can do better than most.
It was a penalty today for Pogba, but it is his 8th Premier League goal of the season, which is his best return in the Premier League, and he's well on his way to double figures with 15, 16 games still left in the Premier League season. So United 2-0 up against Brighton. Liverpool still 1-0 down at home against Crystal Palace at Anfield. Just to mark your card as well, that we'll be building up to Cheltenham over the next few weeks with a couple of very special off-air shows. The first one will be happening in Clonmel on Friday, 1st of February. Barry Murphy from At Bear Match will be there. We'll be joined by some top jockeys and trainers as well. Keep an eye on offtheball.com/events for more details on how to get tickets. It's all thanks to Bulmers and their Road to Gold campaign. So, tough day at the office for Shane Duffy this afternoon and that Brighton defence away at Old Trafford. But Duffy has had tougher days, there's no doubt about that, as we heard from the FAI's and the Republic of Ireland's senior team doctor, Alan Byrne, on Thursday night.
When I looked back in the video, Kieran Murray went onto the pitch first. And if you check, if you watch, if you count, he makes a decision at about 11 seconds to go like this to me. But I know now we're so onto the pitch. Within about the same time frame, I turn around and say, I can't tell you why I knew. Darren O'D, and this is no disrespect, Darren walked by, he said, don't mind him, Doc, he's just winded. That's, I swear to God, that's as Darren might say, because it looked
Darren O'D just tweeted us tonight, by the way, to tell you,
did he?
Yeah, that you're the best doc around. So I would say
sorry about that, Darren.
I would say that, yeah.
No, he didn't.
He says what footballers say.
It was a typical thing, and to be honest with you, that was, if you're asking, looking back on that, because Shane nearly died, and without John O'Byrne's decision-making in the ambulance and without the matter and all of that, Jerry McEntee, who did the surgery, he would have died. I mean, he bled 3.5 litres into his abdomen. One of the weirdest parts of that night was the manager had given us the night off, and I was meeting my wife with one of the kitmen, Mick Lawler, and his wife go for dinner. I said, I can't go, I've got to go to the matter. So when they found where the problem was, they were going to operate, and I was with Shane's dad, if I remember correctly, his uncle, his nephew, Pat Costello, who's the head of FAI operations, I think, at that stage, myself and John O'Byrne. And we're in Phibsborough, and I'm trying to think what we do. So this is ridiculous. We went to Eddie Rockets to have a cup of tea because I didn't know where else to go. So we're sitting there in the booth, and John O'Byrne gets a phone call after about 20 odd minutes, and he goes out, and we can see him walking up, and he comes in, and you know when somebody's walking, and as he got closer, I wasn't sure what he was going to say. He said, they found everything is fine, they've stopped the bleeding, Shane is fine. And we ran out of the Eddie Rockets, jumping around like, Shane's father said to me, Alan, it's like winning the World Cup. And I said, Brian, I think Brian is, I said, it's Brendan, I said, it's much bigger than that.
Yeah, pretty remarkable story from Dr. Alan Byrne on Thursday nights Off the Ball, talking about Shane Duffy there and an incident that happened in a sort of friendly match at Malahide back in 2010 when he was only 18, 19, playing for development Irish team, had a nasty collision with an Irish amateur team goalkeeper, and as you heard, very nearly died. Mm-hmm. You would have worked with Dr. Alan Byrne?
Yeah, no, Alan well. Yeah, they got a good little setup there in the background. Very popular amongst the players. Obviously very professional. They know their jobs, but also good people as well, which is important in that environment as well, particularly around the physio department, you know, injured players. And even in club football, Kieran, I always felt that was a key area of the football club.
They go a long way to setting the atmosphere.
Yeah, exactly, yeah. Just personality-wise, just the kind of, you know, players going in there, heads down, chins down, injured, carrying injuries. You know, it's almost like a psychologist role in there, as well as a kind of physiotherapist stroke doctors, and you need some good ones.
Because you see people that, it always strikes me when people are retained, and like say someone like Kieran Murray must have worked under, he'd be back in when Mick is probably his 5th or 6th setup with Ireland, probably 5th setup. And that shows not just his ability as a physio, but also I think that players engage with him and relate to that, you know, that spark of him. He's got the right kind of personality, and you can't underestimate that. Like, it is important.
It's true, and it doesn't have to be. You don't have to be the joker in the pack. I've had a few of them before, and they're all great. Don't get me wrong in terms of setting the tone and stuff. But it can just be the simple things. Just somebody who's honest with you. You know, he'll tell you the truth. He'll do the right things by you. You know, somebody who you can trust and lean on. Even on a personal level, you'll find players over the years maybe confide in players on physio staff, and that's important. Maybe wouldn't go to the manager or coach necessarily and things like that, you know. So at times an ear to bend for a few of the players. So yeah, an important facet in the management makeup.
Because I remember coming back from one Ireland trip, and sometimes we used to come back in the middle of the night, like if you'd come back from George's and at 3 or 4 in the morning, it was pouring rain and there was a huge queue for taxis at the airport. So the guy at the rank was saying, could you just kind of try and double up and ask people where they're going? So I remember sharing a taxi with Alan Byrne. He lived, don't know, did he live in Raheny or Killester or somewhere? I was living Holt Road in Killester. But
got a bigger house now than he
had. But I just thought he was a really decent fella.
He's got a couple of options now when he arrives back in the airport, 3 or 4 addresses he can go to.
No, I didn't. I think he left me at the giant gates. So I just looked at the giant gates. But I just thought he was a decent guy. Like he wasn't just sitting back, I'm a doctor, I'm not going to talk to you. Like he was chatting away.
Well, it was notable as well when Alan was in with us on Thursday night, the amount of texts and tweets that were coming in from former players at League of Ireland level, at international level, all just talking about how good a guy he was, and a lot of interesting stuff out of Alan Byrne on that as well. You can check it all out on offtheball.com. Half-time whistles going in the Premier League, but first, Walsh Cup final, the result: Galway 123, Wexford 20 points. It was a tasty enough affair. Liam Ryan of Wexford was sent off, and 3 Galway players sent off. Cathal Dunbar, Padraig Mannion and Jarlath Mannion all red carded in that game. Wexford had a penalty saved as well, and Galway win by 6 points. And in the Keogh Cup final, yet another draw in these early season competitions. Antrim 123, Westmeath 220. Westmeath win 3-0 on penalties. So what a weekend it's turning out for Westmeath GAA. O'Byrne Cup winners and Keogh Cup winners. Westmeath winning that one on penalties. Let's go around the grounds then in the Premier League. We might go to Anfield first, actually, because no doubt that's the biggest game of the afternoon. Liverpool looking to extend their lead at the top to 7 points. Remember, they haven't been beaten at home at Anfield in the Premier League since April 2017. The last team to do it were Crystal Palace. Can they do it again? Let's hear from Shane Pennington.
Liverpool 0, Crystal Palace 1, and Roy Hodgson's side have been excellent in this first half and deserved their lead. James McArthur playing in, Zaha down the left-hand side, and he crossed for Andros Townsend to fire home from 12 yards out. Prior to that, it all been Liverpool. They'd had all the possession and a couple of really good chances. Matip's close-range effort was well saved by Speroni, and also Marnie with a header from a Milner cross found it straight at Speroni again. It's Liverpool 0, Crystal Palace 1.
So 45 minutes for Liverpool to extend that unbeaten home record. They need to try and turn it around. A lot of controversy, it seems, at the end of that half as well about Mo Salah and maybe potentially diving accusations against Mo Salah. What do they think of next?
There's a problem there that's been created for Liverpool, and that this has become such a perception that even when he doesn't dive now, like he has, there's a couple of decisions he got and they were questionable. But like I didn't watch the Brighton-Liverpool game live last week, and I saw all the reactions on social media, there's diving, the Salah dive to get the penalty, blah, 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 and people were outraged. And people who, like the likes of Andy Gray or Trevor Sinclair, saw them tweeting, who would know the game, and they were saying he dived. When I saw the incident, I thought that was an obvious penalty. So the reputation's
going... Which Chris Hughton said straight after the game.
The reputation's going before him now. And that happened with Suarez, because Suarez did dive a lot, but I thought... He started not getting decisions then because of the reputation he had, and that could cost Liverpool in the run-in, I think, because he has his reputation now.
Yeah, I think your right perception is right. For me, there's a clear distinction. People diving, very, very vague term for me. Diving for me is like hitting the ground under no contact whatsoever. I think it was Vardy last week, was it? I saw pretty much throw himself to the ground, thinking there's going to be a tackle made. It wasn't. So for me, that's clear. The Salah incidents last week is just, it's not. There's clear contact there. Now, I probably wouldn't agree with you 100%. For me, there is contact there, but just because the contact doesn't necessarily mean it warrants a penalty. For me, that was a borderline one. But in terms of whether it was a dive,
the contact on his leg, was that the kicking leg?
I'm talking about the one on it when he literally pulled him around the neck and pulled the jersey. Is this the one at Brighton that you're talking about?
But there was a double contact because he hit his kicking leg as well.
So I suppose my point is, for me, people say, there's contact. For me, that's not enough. You can't just say there's contact, it's a penalty. You have to justify sufficient contact. But the argument in terms of whether to dive, for me, it's not even a non-starter. When there's contact there, you've got to take the argument he's dived, or I wouldn't even open that argument. All then I'd speak about as well, is there sufficient contact to warrant the penalty? That's all. That's what the argument is.
When a player gets a reputation like that, like you were centre half, Kenny, for a lot of career, do you play on that with referees? Like if they go down, do you go, he's diving, he's diving?
I think play generally wasn't one for getting in the referee's ear too much, but there would be a lot of that going on. Players will be referees at it again, keep an eye on him, you know it's coming, almost trying to preempt a little bit. You know he's going to go again in 10 minutes, be ready for it. So you're planting those little seeds in the referee's head. That's all part and parcel of the game. Funny enough, Salah for me not too long ago was actually the opposite. There was a couple of times like he was tackled in around the box.
You're thinking go down.
I'm thinking what are you doing? So I think he's been clever of late. Don't get me wrong.
He might have been told by the manager go down.
I've no problem with it in terms of managers. People say disgraceful games with 10-year player to go down. But going down when there's contact, when a defender's made a poor decision, is made mistimed attack, whatever it is, grabs your jersey, and you feel as if, hold it, I'm being, he's holding me back, whatever it is. I've no problem there. I've no problem with Salah last week and players like him in those situations. For me, there's a distinct difference between that and the clear diving when people are hitting the ground that are no contact whatsoever.
72% possession for Liverpool, 10 shots compared to Crystal Palace 2, but Palace lead 1-0 at half-time thanks to Andros Townsend. Let's go to Old Trafford. United heading for 7-up under Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. It's been a very good first half against Brighton, as we can hear from Darren Stanich.
92, Brighton 0. United looking comfortable at the break. Goals from Pogba and Rashford on his 150th appearance, making the difference. United went close early on. Rashford, Pogba and Lindelof all had chances. The breakthrough on 24 though, fell Pogba in the box, upset the Frenchman to score the penalty, his 10th of the season. Brighton then had a go. Murray went close but fired wide, and on 42 Dello felled Rashford in the area, tight angle onto his left foot, but he managed to curl it home. United looking good at half-time. United 2, Brighton 0.
So that would mean United are 3 points behind Chelsea, 3 points ahead of Arsenal, ahead of those two teams meeting in the half-5 kickoff. Next to St James's Park, half-time between Newcastle and Cardiff. Stephen Goldsmith.
Newcastle 1, Cardiff 0. So far so good for the home side, who are looking to leapfrog their opponents today. There's been little coming from Neil Warnock's side so far, despite playing with 2 centre forwards. That said, the home side haven't really created much either, but boy oh boy when they did, it was a delight. Centre back Fabian Shaw dribbling the ball from just over halfway right into the penalty area and slotting into the corner. I'm not yet sure if it was brilliant or just terrible defending by Cardiff. Either way, at half-time, it's Newcastle 1, Cardiff 0.
Actually, what's going on between Bournemouth and West Ham? Alan Lewis.
Half-time, Bournemouth 0, West Ham United 0. Not the greatest half of football you're ever going to see. David Brooks headed wide for the home team. Nathan Aki had a goal ruled out for offside, and Adam Smith fired an effort over the bar. At the other end, Samir Nasri went close from 18 yards out for West Ham, but Eddie Howe and Manuel Pellegrini with much to do at the break. Half-time, Bournemouth 0, West Ham 0.
Expected, but
yeah, not much happening for Bournemouth. You were just saying off air there at the moment. Right now, it looks as though they're far enough away from the relegation zone, but they could do it picking up a few points. Vicarage Road next. Watford against Burnley. Andrew Cheal.
Watford 0, Burnley 0. 3 good early chances to Watford. Dale Lefeo fluffed a one-on-one with the keeper with a poor shot. Then he completely missed a free header 6 yards out, and Ken Seamer had a scratchy effort scrambled off the line by Tarkovsky. Right on half-time, Troy Deeney's fierce shot was well saved by Tom Heaton. Burnley's Barnes was thwarted by a superb late intervention by Mariappa, and a Barnes tame header, should have done better, was easily taken by Foster. Half-time, but Watford 0, Burnley 0.
And finally to St Mary's, where it's Southampton against Everton. Mike Lawrence.
Southampton 0, Everton 0. Chances at both ends as two teams look to push forward and play some nice stuff. Danny Ings has enjoyed Southampton's best chances, flicking on a corner which Everton keeper Jordan Pickford blocked with a great one-handed save, then volleying just on the outside of the back post from the left-hand side. Young Ademola Lookman has looked most dangerous for the visitors. His shot from the edge of the box blocked by Jan Bednarek. And at half-time, it's Southampton 0, Everton 0.
That's the halftime scores in the Premier League. In the Championship, Villa 2-1 down at home against Hull. Scoreless between Blackburn and Ipswich. Derby 2-0 up against Reading. It's Middlesbrough 0, Millwall 1. No goals in Martin O'Neill's first game back as Nottingham Forest manager against Bristol City. It's Queen's Park Rangers 0, Preston 1. 1-1 between Rotherham and Brentford. Scoreless between Sheffield Wednesday and Wigan, and no goals between Stoke and Leeds.
Go on the lines.
You're just staring.
Go on the lines. A reaction.
Bloody hell.
Don't even know what I'm talking about, do you?
I have not an idea.
Millwall.
Millwall, no one likes it, but Kenny doesn't care.
1-0. A bit of a struggle this year. but they're picking up.
Bit of a struggle every year, I think.
That is fantastic. Last year under Neil Harris, I thought, considering funds available, etc., etc. Thought he had an excellent season. Just had a slow start this year. It's been a bit of a struggle for him.
Who was your manager at Millwall? Was it Mick originally?
No, not originally. A few. John Doherty, Bruce Rioch. Actually, had him there for the year. The old Sergeant Major.
Champions Cup.
Signed Dennis Bergkamp. That's his claim to fame for Arsenal.
In the Champions Cup, it's very low scoring at Welford Road. Leicester are 3-0 up against Ulster, heading for half-time in that game. Racing leading Scarlets 15-13. Ulster just need a losing bonus point to secure a place in the quarterfinals. If they were to win that game, probably a good chance they'd end up playing Leinster in the Champions Cup quarterfinals. Ding Junhui, 3 frames in a row, back to 4-3 down against Ronnie O'Sullivan in the Masters snooker. Quick break, and then Gary Breen is going to join us.
Football on Off the Ball.
Brought to you by Boyle Sports. Now with same-day withdrawals to your Visa debit card.
Join that conversation. Text us on 53106. Texts cost 30 cents.
Start the new year in style with lakeside walks, cosy fires and affordable luxury. Treat yourself to a New Year break at the Sleeve Russell Hotel, County Cavan. Get 2 nights bed and breakfast, plus 1 evening meal from just €149 per person sharing. Book now. Call 049 9526 444 or visit our website sleeverussell.ie. Terms and conditions apply.
Mary!
What?
Where's me top?
Wherever you left them.
Did you see me flip-flops?
Here.
Make your next holiday fuss-free with an Avantcard personal loan. With personalised pricing that's made for you, at least there's one less thing to worry about. Find out more at avantcard.ie.
That me snorkel? Have you seen me snorkel?
Lending criteria, terms and conditions apply. Avantcard DAC trading as Avantcard is regulated by the Central Bank of Ireland.
Football Index is reinventing football betting. You can buy and sell the world's top players. Their value may go up and down, but it's not over with the final whistle like a regular bet. Football Index, reinventing football betting.
Start building your portfolio today at footballindex.co.uk or download the app now. New customers only, minimum deposit and conditions apply. Gamble responsibly.
Beat the January blues. Book an epic adventure to North America with flights from €189 each way as part of a return trip with Aer Lingus. Enjoy some retail therapy in New York City, hit the trendy bars and hip restaurants of downtown San Francisco, or steep yourself in the history and intrigue of Washington, D.C. Smart books an escape to North America. Smart flies Aer Lingus. Book now at airlingus.com. Offer subject to conditions and availability.
We're born curious. Curious about the world around us and curious to find out what we can become. We ask questions and seek answers, constantly challenging ourselves to think bigger, go further, learn more. Because when we open our minds and let loose our imaginations, the scope of what we can achieve is limitless. Find your degree at ucd.ie/CAO, Ireland's #1 university for graduate employability. UCD. Think bigger.
Trade up and save with Bosch at Power City. For a limited time, claim up to €100 cashback on selected Bosch home appliances. To find out more, go online to powercity.ie or call in store today.
Looking for a new car? Well, Nissan's incredible 2-for-1 offer is back. Only with Nissan, you get 2 new cars for the price of 1. Yes, you heard me right. That's 2 new cars for the price of 1. Buy a selected 191 Nissan and we'll replace it the following year for free. But hurry, this is a limited offer. Contact your local Nissan dealer today. Visit nissan.ie for details. Terms and conditions apply. Nissan. Innovation that excites.
Hi there. Here I am again at the 1933 Furniture Company in Navan. Well, you do have to get around to keep up with the latest styles and trends. And the 1933 Furniture Company is certainly worth the journey. Take their new range of Natuzzi sofas in soft Italian leather. Absolutely beautiful. From Parker Knoll and Neptune to Halo Living and more, you get real quality here at comfortable prices. The 1933 Furniture Company, Navan. Because good furniture is hard to find. Sale now on.
New year, new you? What does that even mean? A nip and tuck? A new fitness regime? Maybe travelling the world in a new camper van, or popping to Fiji to top up your tan. Is it taking that trip you'll never forget? we're just making 2019 the best year yet. It's the new year, new anything jackpot. The Lotto jackpot is an estimated €5.2 million. Play responsibly, in-app, in-store or at lottery.ie. Lotto, time to play.
Nissan's latest innovation is the van that never gets old. Buy any 191 Nissan van and replace it with a new van every 3 years from just €49 per week ex-VAT. Plus, get 3 years free motor tax and 3 free services. Visit nissan.ie. Nissan. Innovation that excites. Finance offers for business users only. Finance is provided by AIB Leasing Limited by way of a leasing agreement. Allied Irish Banks plc and AIB Leasing Limited, trading as AIB Finance and Leasing, are regulated by the Central Bank of Ireland. Eligibility, lending criteria, terms and conditions apply.
Here we go. The home insurance renewal bill, and surprise, surprise, it's gone up.
Change.
Beg your pardon?
Change to AIG. They're providing great savings if you were 3 years claim-free, and they're offering a special 25% discount. Here, give me the phone.
Make the change. Visit AIG.ie or call us and see how much time and money you could save.
Thank you, AIG.
Normal underwriting acceptance criteria apply. Minimum premium of €210 ex levies applies, and optional extras not included. Applies to new AIG Direct home residential customers only. Offer valid until 30th of November 2019. AIG Europe SA is authorised and supervised in Luxembourg by the Minister of Finance and the Commission of Insurance, and is regulated by the Central Bank of Ireland for conduct of business rules.
On 106 to 108 FM and at newstalk.com. This is News Talk.
Good afternoon, I'm Trevor Keegan. Detectives have yet to establish a motive for a shooting which left one man dead and a woman critically injured in County Down. It happened at a house in Warren Point last night. Police today named the victim as 37-year-old Wayne Boylan. A 21-year-old woman also suffered gunshot injuries in the incident. Local councillor Jarlath Tinnelly says the community is in shock.
Absolutely shocking state of events. That Lower Dermore Road would be a very, very quiet residential area of Warren Point. Warren Point generally would be a very, very quiet town. And I mean, people haven't seen anything like this, certainly since the end of the Troubles.
The government insists the Brexit backstop is needed to ensure an open border in Ireland and the Good Friday Agreement is protected. Taoiseach Simon Coveney has reiterated Ireland's commitment to the entire withdrawal agreement. Meanwhile, in Britain, the UK Prime Minister has been accused of being reckless over the deal by the opposition parties. Theresa May is spending the weekend working on a Plan B to present to the House of Commons on Monday. The Labour Party's Brexit spokesperson Keir Starmer says it's now up to Parliament to end the stalemate.
There are no easy routes out of this mess, and anybody who pretends there are is not being honest about the situation we find ourselves in. Difficult decisions are going to have to be made, but now is the time for an honest debate and for credible solutions to emerge.
The Health Minister and the HSE are being urged to intervene to avert an ambulance strike scheduled for Tuesday. 500 members of the National Ambulance Service Representative Association are expected to walk off the job. It's in a row over union recognition. Fianna Fáil says it comes at a difficult time of year and Minister Simon Harris needs to confirm contingency plans are in place ahead of the strike. The party's health spokesperson Stephen Donnelly says a quarter of ambulance personnel will not be available for a 24-hour period. And that's it for now. We'll have more at 6.
News Talk Weather.
Thanks to Des Kelly Interiors. January sale event now on in all departments.
Mainly dry at first this evening with just a few isolated showers. Later, a band of rain and drizzle will extend from the west and spread east overnight. Lowest temperatures of 1 to 4 degrees with the possibility of a touch of frost in the east and northeast. And now you're up to date on News Talk.
Off the ball. This is News Talk.
All right, welcome back. Let's go straight to Anfield because there's been a goal between Liverpool and Crystal Palace. Shane Pinnington.
It's Liverpool 1, Crystal Palace 1. It took just minutes of this second half for Liverpool to get back on terms in this game. It was a speculative effort from Virgil van Dijk from fully 30 yards out. It took a deflection off a Palace defender, looped high into the air, and Mo Salah was first to react 6 yards out as he knocked the ball beyond Julian Speroni. It's Liverpool 1, Crystal Palace 1.
Yeah, huge second half at Anfield and a perfect start to it as well for Mo Salah and Liverpool, causing a bit of controversy before half-time. We've somehow managed to find a little viewing of Mo Salah going down in the penalty area before half-time. Kenny, was it a dive? So basically he's surrounded by 2 Crystal Palace defenders. One of them has a bit of a swipe, may make contact with his right leg, but about half a second later Salah just falls back like he's been shot.
Yeah, it's delayed reaction, isn't it? Like, I think you made the point, if he had gone down once he swung the leg, you know, you can make an argument that I still don't think there would have been sufficient contact for a penalty, but yes, that delayed reaction doesn't look good. So in that situation, I have no problem with a yellow card being taken out, I've got to be honest.
Did he get a yellow, did he?
He didn't, no.
Leicester leading Ulster 10-0 now at half-time in the Champions Cup, so Ulster may have a bit of a nervy second half and a nervy weekend ahead in their bid to reach the Champions Cup quarter-finals. Still Manchester United 2, Brighton 0, Newcastle 1-0 up against Cardiff, scoreless in the game between Bournemouth and West Ham and in the match between Southampton and Everton. Gary Breen is on the line. Afternoon, Gary.
Good afternoon, guys.
We have the ultimate Irish centre-back pairing. What? This is the dream.
Paul McGrath and Mark Lawrenson.
Nathan beat me to it, Brady. You just beat me to it.
I'm a very young guy, Gary. I don't remember them. You were the dream team for me.
Get the videos of those two. They're the ultimate centre halves for Ireland, for any team.
To be honest, you could name about 2 dozen centre half pairings there. You still wouldn't name me and Brainy.
I'm only on for an hour, Kenny.
Kenny was telling us about when you shared a room with him that you'd both wake up shouting offside in the middle of the night.
Yes, the intuition was just, we were so dedicated, so focused.
We were never that high up to play offside. We were the age of Iron Box. We never had the pace.
We had those bungee ropes inserted to us surgically before we went onto the pitch.
Yeah. Did you see yourself as a centre half, Kenny? Because you started off at right.
I don't think many people did either. Not many people saw me centre half when I finished when I retired from football. To be honest with you.
But that's not what I meant. But you did the first few years of your career. You were right back, weren't you? And
I was
early on in Ireland as well.
I was a centre half. I played, not to reminisce too much, like send Brady to sleep there, but I played centre half in schoolboy football in Dublin.
Okay.
Not physically strong enough when I went over to England. Got pushed out to right back, but invariably ended up there. But played my career, in particular at international level, needed somebody more dominant alongside me, a bit more physically imposing, aerial, who could dominate things in the air. Brainy obviously
did you ever find him?
I needed him. I needed to find him, so I always had him. Brainy was the obvious one when I played for more, and then even at club football. For that reason, I was more of a kind of an old school libero, if you want, just dropping off the other centre half, maybe Reid sweeping up in behind. That's all I could do, really. Like, you know what I mean? I couldn't dominate.
The performance I remember most from you was when you came on against Spain. I thought, like, not blowing smoke up your ass, but...
Is that it?
No, the other...
5-minute cameo roll off the bench.
I had 72.
Oh, my God. They were down to 10. To be fair, they were playing with a centre forward for the past 15 minutes.
Stan got injured after about half an hour, didn't he, or something? You were on for extra time and for all the second half.
They'd only 10 men.
I played like Paul McGrath the past 10. Nobody to mark. It was brilliant.
We'll come back to that, I'm sure, but there's been another goal at Anfield. Liverpool, Crystal Palace, Shane Pennington.
Crystal Palace won in the space of 7 second half minutes. Liverpool have turned the game on its head. The second goal coming from Roberto Firmino, who received the ball from Keita on the left-hand side of the penalty area, and his shot took a deflection off Chiarte and went into the right-hand bottom corner of the net. It's Liverpool 2, Crystal Palace 1.
Yeah, that's some start to the second half for Liverpool, Gary. They were obviously under pressure conceding that goal to Andros Townsend, and we're hearing that Wilfried Zaha's out in that left wing, putting James Milner under all sorts of pressure, even with Matip just back in the centre-back partnership. Like, they're showing some character here. When questions have been asked, it seems, over the last few weeks, generally they're responding. Gary has been silenced.
He's back.
Oh, no, you're back, Gary.
Sorry, I'm just saying, they've been showing that type of quality throughout the season, that character, getting over challenges that in previous seasons would have cost them as such. But to be 1-0 down at half-time against Crystal Palace, you can sit back, defend deep, they've got players on the counter who can hurt you as you're trying to force the game. To get those 2 early goals, that's a great start to the second half for them.
The dynamic of the next couple of weeks then, and Liverpool being out of the FA Cup, but also the fact that if they go on and win this game, they'll be 7 points clear. All right, you'd expect Manchester City to win away at Huddersfield, but there's a little bit more pressure put on them. Then it flips after the FA Cup break, where City have games in both the League Cup and the FA Cup, whereby City play earlier on the Sunday, Liverpool don't play to the Monday. Is that a factor over this title race, the fact that they'll never really play at the same time?
Well, it certainly puts a bit of pressure on the team. If you're first and you win, then they know they have to kind of match that result. But the very fact that City have so many more games, as you quite rightly said, FA Cup and then the Cup games, but Guardiola's been quite vocal in saying we welcome it. It gives all his opportunity to play all of his squad, keep them relatively happy, keep them relatively fit. So it's been a brilliant title race so far, but there's certainly more twists and turns to come.
Yeah, because I thought it was very striking. Nathan, because I remember talking to Gary about this when we were back in November, one of the Saturdays, but we were always talking about Liverpool and basically as they were hanging on by their fingernails, because a lot of weekends they were playing the day after City. So City were, maybe going 5 ahead of them and they had to win to get back to 2. And they kept playing catch up. But remember the way it turned then? Liverpool beat Wolves on a Friday night. And the next day, I think it was City playing Palace, which they lost. So suddenly, that was a game where pressure had come on City.
Yeah.
Because Liverpool had played first. And I think that dynamic can come in because, the old squeaky bum line of Alex Ferguson, normally you think about April, May with that. But it's actually started in January this season because both teams, I think week on week now, there's huge pressure because both teams are winning so many games that you have to keep winning week after week. And also, I think, Gary mentions the commitments, all the commitments City have. Liverpool are out of the cup competitions and a lot of fans aren't happy with that. But you look at the injuries they're picking up. They've 11 days off now. They're going off to Dubai in a break. I would say he's delighted they're not in the FA Cup now.
Well, also, I think the week of the Bayern Munich could be the second leg is an FA Cup weekend, the weekend before, again, where they'll have a little bit of time off. And also, you look at the 2 fixture lists. So we know that Liverpool have, on paper, after this, again, 3 more favourable fixtures before they go Old Trafford to play Manchester United. They've Everton quite soon after that. Manchester City, after Huddersfield, have Arsenal and Chelsea at home on Sunday afternoons, where again, listen, it's Manchester City, they can easily go and take all 6 points and beat them well.
Yeah.
But it will be interesting to see how that plays out. There's been a goal at the Vitality Stadium, Bournemouth against West Ham. Alan Lewis.
It's Bournemouth 1, West Ham United 0. A thunderbolt from Callum Wilson. Ryan Fraser down the left-hand side. His cross was deflected into the path of Wilson, who hit a thunderous volley into the corner of the net. Just before that, Andy Carroll had missed an absolute sitter, blasting over from 2 yards out. It's Bournemouth 1, West Ham 0.
Yeah, what a season Callum Wilson is having. It'll be interesting to see if he's still at Bournemouth at the end of this transfer window. That is his 10th Premier League goal of the season. Whether he'll make that maybe £50 million move to Chelsea, probably not looking likely with Higuain, it seems, set to go to Stamford Bridge instead. West Ham may well be a little bit upset by all that's going on with Marko Arnautovic. Obviously with West Ham, Declan Rice is the main focus of attention, and more so now about what he's doing on the pitch after that first goal against Arsenal and a man of the match performance. Spoke to John Giles on Thursday night about where Declan Rice is, regardless of the international side of things, where he is right now as a footballer.
He was always going to be an outstanding player, Nathan, and he's proven to be an even better player than he promised to be.
What's he got?
Well, first of all, he's a very good footballer. He's a very, very strong physical lad who's playing in the middle of the field and playing very, very well. Now, I think if you were picking him in the best position, it'd definitely be centre back.
Okay.
But because he's so valuable. He's a bit like Brian Robson, right? I played with Brian Robson when he was young fella at West Brom. Brian Robson could play anywhere, left back. Centre back, he's playing off the centre half, was without question his best position. He could read the game well, he was a good header of the ball, he was a good tackler. But he was too valuable as a midfield player to put him in that position.
Because my memory of Brian Robson was that he was box to box, it was energy, he could cover so much ground.
He did that, but he could play. He wasn't a Bobby Charlton, but he was a great tackler of the ball. He could win the ball well. He could read the game well. He was a good header of the ball. And he'd get you a few goals. We played Ipswich one night, having taken a hiding from Ipswich in those days with Bobby Robson, 7-0 at Ipswich on my birthday. And 5 weeks, 6 weeks later, we played him at West Brom and beat them 4-0.
Right.
And Brian scored a hat-trick from midfield.
Yeah.
Right? So he was if I was picking the best position for Brian Robson, I'd pick him up playing off the centre half. He could do it in his sleep. But he was too valuable a player as a midfield player to do it. Now Rice is in the same, or put him in the same position as that.
A text in from Paula in Monaghan. This Declan Rice nonsense is getting out of hand. We've all resorted to checking the lad's likes on social media. Can he just make up his mind already? Nobody's that sad that they spent half of Monday checking Declan Rice's Instagram to see if he'd liked the FAI's post. Certainly nobody I know would do such a thing. We leave Declan Rice in Ireland and decisions because we're no further along. We just don't know. But Gary, it does seem, I think, in the last week, and even maybe in the last month, there's been a change in the conversation that 6 months ago when we looked at Declan Rice, this could be a very good player for the future of Irish football to actually, this could be a very good player in the future of the Premier League. That here he is, just turned 20, playing week in, week out, one of only a handful, if even, of teenagers who are playing every week in the Premier League and already able to control a game. Is he even better than you thought he was going to be?
No, I knew that he was going to be a good player. Obviously, I spoke to Kenny, had told me about him coaching him at the younger age group, was aware of him, so I took a real shine to him. And then obviously, as it's been well documented, I loved his interviews and what it meant to him to play for Ireland, etc., etc. But in terms of playing, I disagree with Johnny Giles. I don't think he's a centre-half, certainly not in a 2. In a 3, yes, a bit different, got a bit more cover, protection, but I don't see him in a 2 as a centre-half in terms of coping with movement. And I just think he's exceptional at the base of that midfield. He's elevated that West Ham team. If they don't have him in that team, they struggle. They've got no athleticism in that midfield area with the likes of Noble, Wilshere, those type of guys. And he reads the game so well. And what's been so impressive about him is that because he's been able to play regularly now, you can see his game evolving. At first, when he first started playing central midfield, he was reluctant to play forward passes, ones that were a bit risky, trying to break lines, but he's been encouraged to do that all the time now. And I think that he is looking the real deal there. I think he will be the type of player. I think Guardiola has said that they're looking for a defensive midfielder. They're going to scour all of the world, Europe, to find one to complement Fernandinho in terms of when he moves on or is not able to play as many games. When they do that, I definitely believe that he'll be on the list.
Yeah, because I saw Graham Hunter, journalist in Spain, tweeted during the week, and he says, he said the top clubs should come in for Declan Rice now. He said in 3 or 4 years they're going to come in for him, and his price will be 4 or 5 times what it would be now. And I was thinking about it, and I think there's something to that. I think when you look at the potential he has, he's played over 50 games already, and he's a hell of a lot of Man of the Match awards this season for a young player. And that he can play in central midfield and central defence, and particularly, I like his personality as well. He looks very calm. He was
very impressive in that post-game interview in the Arsenal match.
Yeah, he's very mature for a 20-year-old. Very mature.
That maturity, Kenny, from when you were working with him then with the Ireland underage, was that the under-17s?
It was the under 19s. Excuse me. Yeah, only played with a couple of injuries, so he missed a couple of games. Definitely played. Left of it too, funnily enough. Now Gary says he doesn't see him playing in an orthodox too. I saw him play, actually went to see him play. Actually, I was with you, Nathan. We covered a game against Tottenham at Wembley about 6 months ago. He played left of it 3, looked very comfortable. He was the best player on the pitch. If you'd asked me then, maybe 6 months ago, could he play in a holding position midfield, I probably would have said yes. But it would have been very regimented. I would have said, yeah, he can sit there. He's got a defensive mindset. He sees danger, tracks people. He'll make his fair share of tackles. He'll get on the ball and keep it simple enough, but he won't really hurt you with his pass and of what I'd seen from Declan up until that point. But I was probably at the game with Breeny against the USA in Dublin during the summer, and that was the first time I saw him evolve his game in that position, because in that game, particularly in the second half, I saw him get the ball on the half turn and play forward and start to break the lines with his passing like Breeny was talking about. Now that's the first time I saw him and thought, he's got different facets to it. He's not just one who he can sit in there, he'll head it, kick it, track runners and be a physical presence in there. He looks as if he could actually become more of a playmaker, actually create from that deep area in central midfield, and that's what he's gone on to do. And like Breeny's saying, more confident, more responsibility in the team. He's doing more. Even the situation last weekend, I saw him split the 2 centre halves, goalkeeper's kick, get the ball and drive 20 yards into central midfield towards the halfway line, commit people. Now he's dribbling with the ball into central midfield with his head up, committing people and looking to take people out of the game with his pass, and so it's great to see.
And that's interesting, Gary, because listen, if we were talking to John Giles about that, there's nothing that I think that drives him more mad than central midfielders who don't turn towards the opposition goal, who are happy to play those simple 5-yard passes, just keep things ticking along. That if Declan Rice has that in his locker, that he has that little creative spark as well, that does turn him into that right now £50 million player. Because I guess for a club like Manchester City, even with Fernandinho, he does all that hard work and stuff, but he's still got a little bit of a range of passing as well.
Well, of course, and we're seeing it notably at Chelsea now, where Jorginho, in terms of getting on the ball, but it's not really creating anything in terms of getting the opposition cut open or such like that. But if he does have it, but what has been interesting, I've just been reading a lot in terms of Mark Noble, the captain at West Ham, who's been saying that he's encouraging Declan to take more risk with his passing. Now, I was at West Ham when Mark Noble initially came in the building as a 15-year-old, and he looked an exceptional player. So he looks like a type of captain who can force Declan to do that type of thing. And what ultimately he has is the ability to execute it. If he has belief in and around him in terms of his manager, which he initially got from David Moyes, now he's got from Pellegrino, now he's getting from his captain and all his teammates, coupled with the supporters, coupled with all the the press really lording over him as well now. He really has got the world at his feet.
That's why I think from his point of view, I think it's a fair argument that Kieran's made in terms of likes of Manchester City, different clubs, Real Madrid, whoever, go and get this player now. But from Declan's point of view, I don't know if Gary would agree, maybe from his perspective, for me now, having signed that new contract, get your head down now. Get your head down, get another 50 or 100 games under your belt at this level, and then maybe then, I think maybe physically, mentally, in terms of his maturity, I think maybe that might be the time when he's ready to make that next
and there's
step.
something to be said for that, because if you read about actually how Liverpool scouted Salah, Liverpool were scouting him as far back as when he was at Basel, when he went on to Chelsea, but they waited till he was a couple of years older. And if you look at how he did at Chelsea, it probably, it wasn't the right time. There is that argument that there is an optimum age to get a player for a big club, that they're not ready, maybe a couple of years younger.
Well, they need to play as well, and I guess that's the flip side of this. If we're talking about a move, there's so much at the moment. You look at what's happening in Germany and the way they're starting to look at these young English players after Jordan Sancho and now Hudson-Odoi, and Miguel Delaney had a good article this week in The Independent of a list of maybe 10, 12 players, including Troy Parrott at Tottenham, that these big German clubs are looking at. That Declan Rice, along with Trent Alexander-Arnold, were the two teenagers really playing week in, week out in the Premier League. To suddenly go from that to maybe going to Manchester City, say if he was to go next summer and Fernandinho's still there, to playing that sort of bit part role, 15, 20 games, half an hour here, a full game here in tough games.
You look at Phil Foden. Phil Foden is so highly rated, and he's hardly getting a look in. He gets.
Is that a factor, Gary?
Yeah, ultimately, I look at even examples like at Chelsea, when they were obviously identifying top talents in Europe: De Bruyne, Salah, Lukaku, but they had to go and play first-team football to elevate themselves to the level with which they play now. And people may well use that as a stick to beat Mourinho with at Chelsea and say, well, why didn't you play him then? Because they weren't at that level. They hadn't had that key development stage that they got with the pressures that come with playing for points, playing for the real pressure where you have to win games. So I agree with Kenny. I think he's best served staying at West Ham, but there's no doubt these bigger clubs will be looking at him.
There's been another goal at Anfield. Liverpool against Palace. Shane Pennington.
It's Liverpool 2, Crystal Palace 2, and Roy Hodgson's side just won't go away here. Liverpool, of course, trying to extend their lead at the top of the Premier League. Well, at the moment, Crystal Palace are very much frustrating them. Back on level terms, courtesy of a corner from Milivojevic from this left-hand side, a right-footed in-swinger, and there was James Tompkins 6 yards out to power a header beyond Alisson in the Liverpool goal. Liverpool have it all to do again here now then. It's Liverpool 2, Crystal Palace 2.
Yeah, no shortage of drama at Anfield, so 2-2 with around 20 minutes to go there midway through the second half at Anfield. Another goal at St James's Park as well, turning out to be a good day for a former Liverpool manager, Rafa Benitez. It's Newcastle against Cardiff. Stephen Goldsmith.
Newcastle 2, Cardiff 0, an uphill battle for the visitors now. The home side go in front and Shaw has scored again. A Matt Ritchie corner come in and Lascelles got his head to it. Shaw helped it in from close range. It's looking good for the home side now. Newcastle 2, Cardiff 0.
Also goals at St Mary's, another goal, Southampton against Everton, Mike Lawrence.
Southampton 2, Everton 0. Nathan Redmond doubling the Saints' lead here on 63 minutes. Hint of own goal maybe. Replays not conclusive at the moment, but Nathan Redmond certainly claiming it, and the home fans very happy here. Southampton 2, Everton 0.
We're only here till 6 o'clock, so we won't get started on Nathan Redmond for Ireland this afternoon. We'll leave that till another week and maybe till the squad is announced. No, Kenny, you've something to say?
No, I was going to say that's news to me.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
You haven't been following this?
No, I've been in a bit of a bubble, I think, of late, so no, I haven't heard that one.
Turn Gary's mic down for a minute. I can hear him sighing in the background there, Gary. There's no subtlety involved, so Mick is looking at Nathan Redmond. There's a possibility for the squad. He has played for England.
I don't know enough. I don't know enough about the history of the player, to be honest with you.
Yeah, not long after Martin O'Neill came in, he mentioned Nathan Redmond's name, so he's been on the radar for a while. So.
Yeah, he has played for England in the intervening period is the only thing, but only in a friendly. But we will wait to find out. Having this Declan Rice conversation, it's great, but I feel like something's missing. I feel like somebody is missing in this conversation. It'd be great if Kev was here, wouldn't it? Kevin Kilbane's live at the BBC. Don't tune into that. He's doing Final Score, but it'd be great if he just made an appearance sometimes and could be with us as a presence in studio. What? Wait a second. If you're watching on our social channels, you'll be able to see this. So Kevin Kilbane has arrived in.
For our radio listeners,
that's pretty impressive.
This is a full life-size cardboard cutout of Kevin Kilbane. You can put that.
A full life-size cardboard cutout of Kevin Kilbane against Cameroon, 1st of June 2002. It's so big we can't even see him.
We have to fit it on.
That big. You can fight for 8.
That's bigger than life size, is it?
Pretty good there, yeah.
Can you see this, Gary?
I can see it. He's got a fine head of hair on him, isn't he? Haircut now, then he's got.
Wow.
Shorts are clean, Breen. He hasn't got a sweat on the usual look. He's got his wristbands on. He's got his Roger Federer wristbands on. Sweatbands, whatever you call them.
So this is going to be a permanent fixture now here. It's not, though, because the reason we have this is we had a text in on, I think it was Wednesday night's show, from a listener who's just built a new house, who got permission to build a little man cave for himself. And as part of that, has a nice little bar. He's got the TV, he's got the darts board. And he said the only thing missing is a life-size Kevin Kilbane, which we threw out in the radio. And within 10 minutes, Alan Brogan of Dublin GEA fame, the printing company he works for, said, we'll sort that out. We'll have it for tomorrow. And here it is.
Yeah, but I need this explaining to me, this comment from this individual that all I'm lacking is a Kevin Kilbane. What's behind that? Is that a bit of luck, or is that a little sly dig in terms of...
What do you have in your man cave in Essex? That's what I want to know.
Will you come down to this guy's house? I think he's in Kilkenny. Would you come down and we present it to him?
I think I'll keep some distance between yourself and this particular individual for...
What about Gary's man cave?
Safety reasons.
What do you have in your man cave,
We can see this is where he broadcasts from, is his man cave, I presume.
No man cave, I'm afraid. Not allowed it.
No trophy cabinets in me and Brainy's libraries, unfortunately.
No.
Do you think actually Kev is one of these at home all the time that he just doesn't tell anyone about?
Kev's a man about town, isn't he? Kevin doesn't have time.
No comment. Yeah, he looked well back in the day. That was his pomp.
I still haven't had it explained to me why this individual...
If you're listening, maybe someone can go back and get his name who texted in and who we literally now have this for.
Is he trying to suggest that you can't go anywhere in Dublin, in the greater Dublin area, stroke the Republic, without actually seeing a picture of Kevin Kilbane in a shop window? Or that's what Kieran suggested. That's what Kieran suggested off 10 minutes ago.
What you're saying is that maybe Kevin Kilbane is omnipresent anyways. So just for those rare moments that he's not on the radio or the TV.
He's probably got a deal going up there as well, yeah.
Yeah, you open the fridge door and Kevin's waving at you.
So this is going to stay with us. The latest scores in the Premier League. It's now Liverpool 2, Crystal Palace 2 at Anfield. Manchester United 2-1 up against Brighton. Brighton have just got a goal back in that match in the last couple of minutes, which we completely missed in all the fun of looking at Kevin Kilbane. This just distracts you at important moments. So Brighton have a goal back, 17 minutes left at Old Trafford. We'll bring you that goal in a moment. Bournemouth 1-0 up against West Ham. Newcastle 2-0 up against Cardiff. Southampton 2-0 up against Everton. Scoreless between Watford and Burnley. What do you make of Marco Silva, Gary, as Everton manager? Because they've been so inconsistent. Started slowly, had a really good spell where I remember doing a game at Stamford Bridge where they drew 0-0 with Chelsea. Stephen Kelly at the time saying Everton of 2 years ago get beaten in this game. There's a bit more resilience about them. And that just seems to have fallen apart over the last couple of months.
It's a difficult one. I just seen the scores coming in there and you're thinking, oh no, he's under a bit of pressure again, because they seem to take one step forward and two back again, and they just can't seem to get any level of consistency. And certainly with the money that's been invested into that squad over the last couple of summers, I mean, they should be doing far better than they are. But it's taking time to get his mark on that team, and we know that home crowd there, the Everton faithful, are not particularly patient, so that's not a good result today.
I mean, there's money being spent, though. It hasn't been his money, though, Brainy, predominantly, isn't it? And the one key area where they haven't spent their money is straight down the middle of the pitch, centre forward. For me, they haven't got a goal scorer there. Tosson, for me, looks as if he's not quite good enough. Richarlison has come in there and done quite well, but ideally, I think really want him operating kind of, left of a 3 and a natural number 9 on the inside. And for me, Calvert-Lewin does a stint up there, very honest, works the channels, and does the best. Nias has gone to Cardiff. He hasn't been the answer, so I think that's what he's desperately crying out for, number 9.
Funnily enough, after all the conversations we've been having over the last couple of weeks about Seamus Coleman, he's back in the Everton team. Matt Doherty, we're assuming, was rested for Wolves this afternoon, but didn't start, but was on the bench. Where do you stand on this whole conversation about, is it Coleman or Doherty?
No,
or does McCarthy find a way for both of them? Do you play Doherty at left back, or do you play him as a right midfielder?
Yeah, I think it's a strong argument for that. I think actually Mick, Gary might know better than me, I think it was Mick who actually put him into the team at Wolves at left back and played quite a lot of games there under Mick, and it's not totally unusual. People talk about you want a natural left side row. The best one we ever had, Dennis Irwin, a left back, like predominantly, although he's 2-footed, but predominantly right footed, I would suggest. So you can still impact the game from that area of the pitch. You could even make the argument in terms of not Seamus operating as orthodox right back position, but Matt Doherty at left back, because he's so comfortable coming on the inside and playing on the inside, the type of football that he plays at Wolves. I've heard someone make a criticism that he's always turning on the inside and playing on the inside. Well, that's no bad thing.
That's not what his manager wants him to do.
Exactly, yeah. And as long as you're coming in and being positive with your passing, like, and taking people out of the game, and what you can do is a predominantly right-footed player playing at left back, particularly when you get yourself in the advanced areas of the pitch, when you check back onto your right-hand side on the inside, you can really hurt the opposition teams, forwarding balls into centre forwards' feet, maybe third man runs from central midfielders. So it's a different weapon to your armoury, but I think we can use them both. So for me, it's not which one plays. I think ideally we're lucky to have them both.
A fifth goal at Anfield. Liverpool against Crystal Palace. Shane Pinnington.
It's Liverpool 3, Crystal Palace 2. What an important goal this could be, because Liverpool back in front, courtesy of Mo Salah, but it's a horrific piece of goalkeeping from Julian Speroni that's handed the goal to them. A ball in from Milner from the right-hand side, and Speroni actually palmed the ball back towards his own goal and left Mo Salah with the simplest of opportunity to tap the ball in from on the line. It's Liverpool 3, Crystal Palace 2.
Like, Speroni is playing his first game since December of 2017. He's 39. He's oldest player in the Premier League. So
born in 1979.
Yeah, so it's always a gamble, I think, when you throw somebody in.
You know what he's good at, Salah? I haven't seen those two goals today. I just heard him describe the shot from Van Dijk. It got deflected, flew up into the air. He reacted 6 yards out goal. Yeah. Again, keeper expected to save it, doesn't. Salary, I thought that's not a coincidence. When I was saying as good as he is, the qualities that he has, what I notice about him, when he's not directly involved in the play, whether it's a cross coming into the box, shot or whatever it is, he's anticipating. He's anticipating things, you know. That worst case scenario you always say to an attack-minded player, just get yourself, anticipate a mistake, get yourself into an area you might be able to score. If it's deflected, you know, the uncertain happens, you know, be the first one to react. And he's very good at that.
Because I was just going to say, I think you can make an argument this season has been better than last.
Why?
Even though because he scored far more goals last season, because there's more pressure this season because of what he did last year, and also because they're in a title race. And he's been watched far more closely, and he didn't start particularly well. So but the way he's reacted, I think you could say that's a real player. Like, that's and he's created a huge amount of goals for them as well. Like, it's not just the goals he scored himself.
He's scoring the spectacular goals, but I like about him as well, he gets those ones like, you know, sail across the 6 yard box, get deflected, suddenly he's the one anticipating, reacting, and just side footing into the back of the net. Yeah, from a defender's point of view, Gary, I guess it's an absolute nightmare, that mix of anticipation and improvisation that Salah does so brilliantly.
He's so difficult to play against him because he can open up the goal from distance. He can run in behind you, as Kenny said. He never seems to stand still. He's always on the move, which suggests why he always is ahead of that defender when balls break in the box. He relentlessly attacks that 6 yard box. No matter whether he's starting out wide, he'll always end up in there. And it's no surprise he gets so many goals. So as brilliant as he was last year in terms of his stats, I didn't think he was going to get to that level. But you knew he'd always score goals again this year.
All right, that is his 50th Premier League goal for Liverpool. Mo Salah, 34 last season, 16 this season. In the rugby, Ulster 13-0 down away from home against Leicester in the second half at Welford Road, while in that pool it is also Racing 29, Scarlets 26. So Ulster, I think, are going to have a little bit to worry about unless they can turn that round in the closing stages. In the Challenge Cup, it's Bordeaux 27, Connacht 26 over in France, while Sale are 37-5 up against Perpignan. Connacht fighting back in that game. They really need to go and get something out of that if they're to make the quarterfinals of the Challenge Cup. And Ronnie O'Sullivan closing in on a 13th Masters final. He leads Ding Junhui 5-3. The first to 6 frames will go through to that final. Ulster have just got a try away at the Leicester Tigers. But in the Premier League, no shortage of drama at Anfield, where Liverpool now lead Crystal Palace by 3-2. A brace from Mo Salah. It was 1-0 to Palace at half time, but Liverpool battling away there, and they have the lead with 8 minutes left. Manchester United 2-1 up at home against Brighton, with Pascal Gross with that goal pulled back for Brighton, and they are pushing for an equaliser, but a really good challenge there from Ashley Young at the edge of his own area. Gets the ball back to David De Gea. Bournemouth 1-0 up against West Ham thanks to Callum Wilson. Newcastle, a huge win for Rafa Benitez's side, 2-0 up at home against Cardiff City. And Southampton moving clear of the relegation zone as well. They lead Everton by 2-0. It is scoreless between Watford and Burnley. Earlier, Wolves beat Leicester 4-3. Arsenal-Chelsea is the late game at 5:30. And Martin O'Neill doesn't look like he's going to have the dream return to the City ground, because Nottingham Forest are 1-0 down at home against Bristol City. Quick break and we'll bring you through all the full times.
Football on Off the Ball.
Brought to you by Boyle Sports. Now with same-day withdrawals to your Visa debit card.
Lunchtime Live with Ciara Kelly.
Since day one of the new year, I've been on a mission to get out and get moving with 100 days of walking. I'm delighted that so many people have been joining me too, right across the country.
It's really great to have a specific goal, 100 days. That's really doable. I do about a 30-minute walk a day.
Yeah.
And I go around the back road.
Does it do something for you? Because I think it does something for me.
Yeah, well, no, it does. I mean, certainly it's great for the mental health.
And it's never too late for you to start your 100 days of walking. Join us by registering at newstalk.com/100 days of walking.
Lunchtime Live with Ciara Kelly.
Thanks to VideoDoc.
Weekdays from midday on News Talk.
5 years warranty. 5 years roadside assistance. 3% APR.
The Renault Van Range with the Renault Traffic, Master and Kangoo. Great 191 van offers to get your engine going from just €215 per month. Visit your local Renault dealer today. Finance is made under a hire purchase agreement. Terms and conditions apply. Deposit required subject to lending criteria. See Renault.ie.
Hello, I'm your fridge from the future. My algorithms will calculate exactly when you're going to run out of milk and order some more. Milk arriving by drone. T-minus 5 minutes. My colleague, the kettle, is also here to help you.
Go on and have a cup of tea. Go on.
But we can't do everything for you. If you want to be properly future ready, you'll want a pension powered by Zurich's award-winning investment performance.
You talk to a financial broker or visit zurich.ie. I will make the tea.
Investment Excellence Brokers Ireland 2018. Zurich Life Assurance PLC is regulated by the Central Bank of Ireland. Zurich, the power behind your pension.
Go on.
A business needs to be creative to stay ahead of the game. And creative brains need space to think. Give them space. Think better. But let's do it with a little style. Castleknock means business. Discover more at castleknockhotel.com.
With a new car ad every minute on Done Deal, it's easy to choose one that's right for you. Whether you're planning the ultimate road trip or the school pickup, find the perfect car for any adventure on Done Deal. Discover and drive.
Stay with me, my love. I hope you'll always be right here by my side if ever I need you. Oh, my love, I will follow you. Will you follow me over?
Wherever you go, Bank of Ireland. Bank of Ireland is regulated by the Central Bank of Ireland.
This week at Power City, get free delivery on selected Neff, Slide and Hyde ovens. The only oven with a unique disappearing door. To find out more, go online to powercity.ie or call in store today.
Having a flutter? Top tip, quinbet.com. Ireland's newest online sportsbook and casino. For all your horse racing, football, casino and more, Quinbet has you covered. With live in-play markets on mobile, PC and app. Quinbet.com. Terms and conditions apply. Gamble responsibly. Visit gambleaware.ie.
This is it. After years I've been rolled up within an inch of my life, I'm free!
Receipts have a mind of their own. Go paperless and manage your travel expenses online with My Taxi Business. Make the smarter choice at mytaxi.com.
The all-new Dacia Duster is more rugged, robust and even better looking. And from €149 per month, it's got the perfect figure too. It's the sort of car you'd swipe right on. The sort of car you'd do the dirt with. And by that I mean take it for a drive. Off-road. Light your fire for the all-new Dacia Duster. Visit your local Dacia dealer today. Finance is made under a hire purchase agreement. Terms and conditions apply. Deposit required subject to lending criteria. See dacia.ie.
Funny how small things matter most. Imagine if all 10 million cups of tea we drink in Ireland every day were powered by 100% green energy and not by burning fossil fuels. And imagine if all our dishwashers, hairdryers and TVs were powered by green energy too. Isn't that a future worth acting on? Go to sseelectricity.com now to view our range of switching offers and join us in changing the world, one cup of tea at a time. SSE Electricity. This is Generation Green. Terms and conditions apply.
Trade up and save with Bosch at Power City. For a limited time, claim up to €100 cashback on selected Bosch home appliances. To find out more, go online to powercity.ie or call in store today.
Mattresses-delivered.ie. Nationwide delivery within 48 hours for free. That's mattresses-delivered.ie. Lowest prices guaranteed. Don't forget the hyphen. T's and C's apply.
That great feeling when you go to the pub and bump into old friends. When you order a pizza and an extra one gets delivered. Or Emirates with special fares. Make 2019 even better. Enjoy gourmet meals, up to 3,500 entertainment channels and exceptional service. All with our special return fares starting from €469. Book by the 22nd of January 2019. Limited availability, terms and conditions apply. Visit emirates.com/IE. Fly Emirates. Fly better.
Football on Off the Ball.
Brought to you by Boyle Sports. Now with same-day withdrawals to your Visa debit card.
Still Liverpool 3, Crystal Palace 2 with 3 minutes remaining at Anfield. It was 1-0 to Palace at half-time. Liverpool went 2-1 up. Palace equalised through James Tompkins, but a close-range finish from Mo Salah after a horror error from Julian Speroni in the Palace goal has given Liverpool the lead, and as it stands they will be 7 points clear of Manchester City ahead of City's trip to Huddersfield tomorrow. You will hear that game live here on Off the Ball from 1:30. Kevin Kilbane will be alongside Stephen Doyle. Manchester United still 2-1 up against Brighton, but Brighton giving a good account of themselves in the second half at Old Trafford. Newcastle lead Cardiff by 2-0. It's Southampton 2, Everton 0. Scoreless between Watford and Burnley, while Bournemouth lead West Ham 1-0. The late game is Arsenal against Chelsea. Aaron Paul is at the Emirates. Evening, Aaron.
Good evening, how are we?
A lot of talk about Mesut Ozil this week. Is he involved for Arsenal?
He is on the bench as he looks to potentially play for the first time in 2019. Interesting change of tact from Unai Emery. Arsenal reverted to a back four and have made a few changes. Aaron Ramsey, strongly linked with a move to Juventus at the end of the season, is one of 3 changes from the side that started in the 1-0 loss to West Ham last Saturday. Hector Bellerin and Lucas Torreira also come in, with Ainsley Maitland-Niles, Alex Iwobi and Shkodran Mustafi also available. Ozil, as I mentioned, is on the bench, but Lacazette and Aubameyang start up top together.
All right, great stuff. Thanks a lot for that, Aaron. Did you run us through the Chelsea team news? Sorry, run us through the Chelsea team news.
You're probably watching Crystal Palace, which is understandable. Maurizio Sarri names the same 11 and same bench as what began the 2-1 win over Newcastle, meaning Eden Hazard again starts as that false 9 with Olivier Giroud as a substitute. Alvaro Morata not involved at all this afternoon.
All right, great stuff. Enjoy the game, Aaron. Should be a good one. Thank you. That is Chelsea against Arsenal. Manchester United will be within 3 points of Chelsea if they hang on over the closing 90 seconds. Connacht are through to the quarter-finals of the European Challenge Cup. What a comeback against Bordeaux. Jack Carty with a last-minute try to secure a 33-27 win in Bordeaux. Ulster have come from behind to lead Leicester by 14 points to 13, it seems. The introduction of John Cooney in the second half has swung that game in Ulster's favour, and they're also heading for the quarter-finals. Regardless of the result, it looks as though they should make the quarter-finals, particularly now there's, at the very least you would think, will get a losing bonus point, but it looks as though they may get a big win as well over in Leicester. Racing going to be one of the teams to avoid in the quarter-finals, heading for a home quarter-final. They lead Scarlets 36-26 in their match. Today is the 50th birthday of one Steve Staunton. Kenny Cunningham can't quite believe it.
No, I couldn't, because I was referencing Brainy will back me up, Saipan, because he played alongside...
what happened there?
Yeah, but it hadn't have been for Stan's legs giving way in a couple of the games, I wouldn't have got any game time at all. So in my head, I was thinking Stan 35-36, literally on his last legs during that competition. But as Kieran has explained, he was only 33
in January that year, yeah.
In that competition, yeah, only 3 years older than us.
We all know what happened with Stan when he was the Ireland manager, but weirdly, and listening to some of the stories about Roy Keane this week, Bill Beswick was on Stuart Lancaster's show talking about Roy storming off the training ground the first day Steve McLaren came in as an example of how Roy wanted to train. But even with everything that's gone on with Ireland and the mess of the last year, Roy's legacy as a brilliant player has never been tarnished, I don't think, by anything that's gone on with his managerial career. Because of what happened with Staunton, though, and his managerial career, it feels as though that's massively tarnished his legacy as a player.
I would hope.
Do you not think? The case? I think when people think of Steve Staunton now, they don't think of the player who played over 100 times for Ireland, who had this wonderfully successful career, firstly with Liverpool, then with Aston Villa, so many years in the top flight in England. Unfortunately, they just think about the Ireland job.
But I'm sure if you then ask them about, well, what about Stan as a player and his contribution at club level and international level, I'm sure everybody would be singing from the same hymn sheet.
How good was he? You probably came a little bit later in his career, but
Stan was an excellent player. It was that left foot delivery, wasn't it? It was that left foot delivery. Stan was a good defender, very competent defender, but his attributes were always with the ball at his feet, looking forward and getting the ball from back to front accurately and often. Crosses into the box. Just someone you could trust. Never hit
from
that
dead balls as well. He was very excellent. I remember there was one away game in Malta. He got a cracking free kick that day. It might have been the winning goal.
Doug was out with jail 3-2. That's right. Absolutely right. Yeah. I mean, as I said, he played at Gary played alongside him over in Saipan, and that was a great combination. Obviously, like I said, Stan was struggling a little bit then. Gary was very much at his peak, and there's a natural balance there. With me, Gary played together. I played left of it too, but I wasn't left-footed, and my distribution from back to front would have been average at best. Whereas when Stan played there with Gary, obviously Gary's defensive side of the game would have been much stronger than Stan, but then Stan's delivery from back to front, getting us up the pitch, would have been phenomenal. So in terms of having a happy medium, a happy balance, that was a good partnership for us.
Would you go along with that, Gary?
Yeah, his left foot was incredible in terms of he was so positive with it, and he could make passes. And if you think about that left side of that defence at the time, we had Steve Staunton who could open up anything with his left foot. You had Ian Hart the same. Both of them not particularly good defenders, certainly not in 1v1 situations, but Steve Staunton...
that big diagonal, Greeny, wasn't it? That big diagonal.
And I've had this argument, well, not an argument, this debate with you, Nathan, before. When I think about Steve Staunton, I don't automatically think of him as a manager. I just think of him as a legend, as a player.
Yeah.
But it's amazing. Maybe it's a different age group as such that you probably immediately think of him as the manager as such.
Well, I don't really remember him playing for Liverpool is the thing. But
I was going to make that point that Gary made. I think it depends on your age. Yeah. Like we're all, like I'm 52. Kenny's 50. Kenny's 50. Kenny's 56. Gary's 32. So we remember his playing days. So
well, happy birthday, Steve Staunton. I hope you're keeping very well. James Milner's been sent off for Liverpool.
What?
Second bookable offence. Both of them for a foul, unsurprisingly, on Wilfried Zaha. But Liverpool still leading in that game in the closing stages, 3-2. Manchester United deep into injury time at Old Trafford, defending a corner. De Gea comes out, it's bouncing around the area, and then it's hooked clear from his own penalty spot by Romelu Lukaku. United still leading Brighton by 2-1 in that game. So last we were at Anfield, it was Liverpool 3, Crystal Palace 2. Liverpool have been reduced to 10 men, and there's been a 6th goal at Anfield. Who has it gone to? Shane Pennington.
It's Liverpool 4, Crystal Palace 2, and just minutes after going down to 10 men after James Milner was sent off for a second bookable offence. Liverpool have killed this game off. Robertson doing well to keep the ball in on the left-hand side. Sadio Mane was the beneficiary. He ran inside the area and coolly slotted beyond Julian Speroni into the right-hand bottom corner. It's Liverpool 4, Crystal Palace 2.
Liverpool's front three at their destructive best. 2 for Salah, 1 for Firmino, 1 for Mane.
You could feel this coming, even when Palace went 1-0 up, second, got it back to 2-2. You probably sensed it as well. This could be one of those pivotal moments for Liverpool coming the end of the season. Not necessarily Man City home away or whatever, Man United, Everton. This one, these type of games at home, under pressure, behind, pressure on, questions asked. Can you react in the right way? Can you turn the game around?
Yeah,
and they've done it. It hasn't surprised me, but could be huge in the context of
what a relief. What a relief for all those Liverpool fans and whoever couldn't see when they got that 4th goal. Nathan's just done a little dance in his chair.
Everyone can see we're live, Gary. If I did a dance, people would have been able to see it.
He even danced with the Kevin Kilbane cutout. Kevin Kilbane cardboard cutout.
He even kissed the Kilbane cutout when he heard about the goal.
It reminded me of Pardew's dance in the Kilbane a little bit.
But it does. I'm convinced, Nathan, when they lost to City and Wolves, and they were he was planning this trip to Dubai for 11 days, I think he said we have to get 6 points from the Brighton and Palace games. So those 2 games were huge because they were pressurised games. They weren't brilliant away to Brighton. They dug it out. They went behind today. They went down to 10 men. They've dug it out. In the context of if they do win the title, like I still think City will win the title, but if they do, those 2 wins will be massive.
Tim Lloyd on Twitter, as a Wimbledon fan, Kenny was one of the best defenders we ever had.
Well, I tell you,
great player.
Do you know what? That's a reasonable compliment because Wimbledon people probably wouldn't. Gary had now again had some fine defenders, far better defenders than me, to be honest. The likes of John Scales, Eric the Ninja Young. Brainy, you remember him?
Chris Perry. Chris Perry was a good centre half as well. But listen, just in terms of that, Kenny's always bashful about this. And you said about a partnership of me and Stan. Kenny's comfortably the best centre half I ever played alongside.
Wow. Why?
Just reading of the game, not particularly big. I didn't see him get beaten in the air. Not quick, in fact, quite slow, but rarely saw him getting beaten because he read situations so well. And in terms of commanding a team around him, a back 4, midfield unit, very, very good.
Yeah, so basically getting everybody else to do my job for me, Brainy included. Cheers, Gary.
Kenny, you were nearly 25 when you made your debut for Ireland, which is common with a lot of Irish players that are up and around the mid-20s. Like Gary was 22, but why did it take you so long to get the nod? Was it just there was so much strength at the back at the time? Was it just harder to get in?
Yeah, there was just no way I was getting in. I mean, I'm previously who was playing centre. That would have been the end of Jack Charlton's.
Paul McGrath, Phil Babb at Liverpool at the time.
Yeah, the quality we had then, there was just, absolutely.
And at right back, you had Gary Kelly, Stephen Carr, Steve Finnan.
Right back was a no-go, absolute no-go. Like, I mean, without a doubt. I knew that very early on, but just fortunate, just circumstances, change of manager, me coming in, having a little bit of an understanding of how I kind of played, and look, it's not rocket science, just having good players around you.
Yeah.
It's as simple that. The likes of Gary. Gary spoke about the full backs, a centre half. You always look to the centre half alongside, to the full back to the other side, and who's in front of you. You know, when you see the likes of Gary, Richard Dunn, people of that calibre. Stephen Carr, Steve Finn and Gary Kelly on your right hand side, Roy King giving you protection in front, even
Lee Carsley, Matt Holland,
Lee Carsley, Mark Kinsler, all these people actually take a bullet for you, like Shea behind, sweeping up behind you. Breen was right, I couldn't run, but any ball that was hit over my shoulder, invariably Shea was coming sweeping off the box, sweeper Kieran before they came relevant. So that's always the secret. You get good players around you.
Third goal for Crystal Palace. Max Mayer has scored for them at Anfield.
Really?
So it's Liverpool 4, Crystal Palace 3. But that game is pretty much done and dusted. The final whistle just gone at Anfield. So Liverpool have won that game by 4-3 and have gone 7 points clear at the top of the Premier League. We'll get across to Shane Pennington in a moment. Nottingham Forest, Martin O'Neill's first game in charge, have been beaten 1-0 by Bristol City. Gary, just O'Neill in this job, and we'll find out in the coming days whether Roy Keane is going as well. Is what happened with Ireland in any ways relevant? Because you look at Forest, they're one of those championship teams, and there's a handful of them that are just complete basket cases that either Karanka got them up towards the playoff positions, wanted out because of interference. They just seem to churn through managers every 6-7 months that unless he goes in and delivers instantly and gets them to the playoffs at the very least between now and the end of the season, he probably won't be there next season.
Well, what he has is he's a legend there at the club, isn't he? So essentially he'll have the crowd on side straight away, and I think it's a great job for him, bearing in mind they're 9th going into this weekend, only 4 points outside the playoffs. They've got good players there. There's been investment. So it's whether or not he can form a team straight away and get him challenging. And I think ultimately Martin O'Neill's strength is in terms of his recruitment, getting in players who are problem solvers. That's something that he couldn't do with Ireland, and he was lacking there. And I think probably also his motivational skills, which again is lacking for Ireland because you don't need any motivation for that. But you certainly do in a long, hard championship season where you need to produce every 3 or 4 days, essentially. So I think it's a good job for him. I think that he'll have an opportunity to rebuild his stock.
Yeah, I'm not as convinced. I take Gary's points. I think it is a good opportunity.
Just saw the atmosphere. If only Dan McDonnell is over at the game at the City Ground today, and he said the atmosphere was pretty flat throughout the afternoon.
Yeah, I never quite buy this thing in terms of it's a perfect fit. In terms of I never quite understand this. He understands the football club. He knows the football club inside out. I just don't understand what that means. I take Gary's point about getting supporters on side straight away, but that won't last too long. That'll get you a little bit more grace. There's been a lot of money spent there Gary, but I don't see it in terms of the quality. I was looking at the squad a couple of days ago. Not too many standout players there. I mean, you look at like maybe Murph up front, grabbing maybe in terms of getting you a couple of goals, a couple of kind of battle-hardened players around the place, kind of call back in midfield. Bridcut Dawson's playing at centre-half. Michael Dawson, I don't know what Michael Dawson is, to be honest with you, you know. So I'm not too sure. A huge amount of investment there, but I don't necessarily see the quality there from back to front. I think he's got a bit of a job on.
Full-time at Anfield, Liverpool against Crystal Palace. Shane Pennington.
Liverpool 4, Crystal Palace 3. Liverpool hold on a thrilling encounter here to go 7 points clear at the top and show their title credentials. Andros Townsend put Palace ahead before Mo Salah equalised, and then it was a Keita effort to Firmino to make it 2-1 to Liverpool, and then James Tompkins equalised with a header to make it 2-2. Then Milner's cross was palmed towards his own goal by goalkeeper Speroni for Salah to tap home before Milner was sent off, and then Mane confirmed the victory in injury time, slotting home from 12 yards before Max Meyer got back into the game with a late consolation for Palace. It's finished Liverpool 4, Crystal Palace 3.
They finished Wolves 4, Leicester 3 earlier today. First time in 15 years that there have been 2 games on the same day, finishing 4-3 in the Premier League.
Okay.
Wow, still a few games.
I had that on the top of my head, just waiting to use it, as you can only imagine. Certainly didn't just read it online. Let's see what happened at Old Trafford then. Manchester United, can they keep this run going under Ole Gunnar Solskjaer? Well, they could. Let's hear what happened with Darren Stanich.
United 2, Brighton 1, 7 out of 7 for Solskjaer, but a nervy ending for the Reds. United were 2-0 up at the break. Pogba fell in the box, converted a penalty. Rashford added a second just before half-time with a lovely finish into the top corner with some good skill. Second half, Lingard should have added a third. Martial and Rashford close as well, but then out of nowhere, Brighton scored. Cross into the area, prodded home by Gross. That gave Brighton hope at a very nervy United finish, but they hang on. United 2, Brighton 1.
A big win for Manchester United as they continue their winning run under Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, and it means they're within 3 points of Chelsea, ahead of Chelsea playing Arsenal in the half-5 game. That in the battle to finish 4th in the Premier League table. To the Vitality Stadium next. Bournemouth against West Ham. Alan Lewis.
It's finished Bournemouth 2, West Ham 0. A good victory for Bournemouth against a misfiring West Ham. After a disappointing first half, the game really kicked into life in the second. The game turning when Andy Carroll fired over the bar from just 2 yards out, and Bournemouth going up the other end and taking the lead through Callum Wilson's brilliant volley. Wilson was denied a second by the fingertips of Fabianski and the width of a post, and Bournemouth maybe should have had a penalty when Brooks was brought down in the box. Joshua King, though, put the game to bed with a goal in stoppage time. West Ham, they really miss Marko Arnautovic. Bournemouth 2, West Ham 0.
The story around West Ham over the coming week, the future of Marko Arnautovic. Bournemouth, just their 3rd win in their last 13 Premier League games, means they're now back sitting comfortably in mid-table. Next up to Vicarage Road, it was Watford against Burnley. Andrew Cheel.
Watford 0, Burnley 0. Watford's best chances came early on with Dale Lefeo fluffing a one-on-one with the goalkeeper. For Burnley, Ashley Barnes, a glancing header wide, needed a better contact for a goal, but it was Burnley's best effort. Dale Lefeo for Watford also completely missed a free header 6 yards out, and Tarkovsky cleared off the Burnley line from Ken Seamer. In truth, though, neither keeper was really stretched, and it's a fair result. Watford 0, Burnley 0.
Watford stay 7th. They are 8 points behind Arsenal. They're leading that race, though, to be best of the rest, and they've just 1 defeat in their last 8 matches. Burnley 3 points clear of the relegation zone after that draw. Big 3 points for Newcastle at St James's Park against another one of the teams in that relegation battle, Cardiff City. Let's go to Stephen Goldsmith.
Newcastle 3, Cardiff 0. A brace from Fabian Shaw and a late Perez goal won the game for Newcastle and ensured they leapfrog their opponent Cardiff out of the Premier League relegation zone. Shaw's first came at a time when we'd barely seen any intent. The centre-half picked the ball up just inside Cardiff's half and dribbled all the way into the box before finishing with ease. His second was from close range, nudging the ball home after Lascelles had headed goalwards. Perez then scored a late third from a lightning-quick counter-attack. It finished Newcastle 3, Cardiff 0.
Yeah, massive 3 points and 3 goals as well for Rafa Benitez at St James's Park. So Newcastle up to 16th, 21 points, 2 points clear of Cardiff in the relegation zone. The bottom 3 now, Cardiff on 19 points, Fulham on 14 points and Huddersfield on 11 points. Let's go to Southampton because they're also out of the relegation zone on goal difference, and a big win for them against Everton, as we can hear from Mike Lawrence.
Southampton 2, Everton 1. Southampton continue to impress under new manager Ralph Hasenhüttl.
James Ward-Prowse with a lovely strike broke the deadlock after the break. Lucas Digne then diverting Nathan Redmond's strike into his own net, sealed it for the home side, but there were nervy moments when Gylfi Sigurdsson got a top stoppage time consolation for the visitors, but it finished Southampton 2, Everton 1.
So Southampton out of the relegation zone. Everton, that their 8th defeat of the season. They are 11th in the table on 30 points. And a comment from Bernard, who's been watching on YouTube. He simply cannot see the Everton manager, Marco Silva, lasting too much longer. We spoke about that a little bit earlier. Kenny, thank you as always for coming in for the afternoon.
Pleasure.
Gary, we'll stick this Kevin Kilban life-size cut out in the post if you want. Courier it over.
No, I'll let Kenny take that home with him.
Don't fight over it, lads.
Throw darts.
Well, if you don't see him here, just tune in to any of the media organisations around this country or Britain, and I'm sure you'll see him.
But it's time I get to O'Connell Bridge after the show. I've probably seen about a dozen times. Walking down through Dublin.
Or any cookery programme or DJing set.
Yeah. DJ.
Have you not seen the DJing?
Oh my God.
What?
Seriously?
Oh, we'll show you this now in a minute.
Oh, no.
He's been DJing.
Really?
Yeah, in front of hundreds of people.
Vanilla Ice.
Oh no, actual
what do you call him? Groove Armada. Groove Armada.
He was DJing with Groove Armada a couple of weeks ago.
What's going on?
All right, we'll take a break and we'll show Kenny that. Gary, great stuff. Kenny, we're back and we'll bring you through all the full times again.